HBO, the greatest network of our time, has brought you compelling documentaries about pimps, hoes, players, johns, tricks, marks, mark-ass tricks, trick-ass marks, skeezers, skanks, skig-skags, and scollywops. Now, America's most incredible network gives you another side of the story as we go into the world of the haters. America Undercover presents The Player Haters Ball.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, real hating, man, that's like an art form, man. You know, it's like, you like a born a hater, you know, like myself, man. You know, a lot of cats think they hate, but, man, I mean, I'm mad at everything, man. You know, brother got a nice car, man. Why you got a car, man? I only got one car. Why you got 3 cars or a wife or all that, man? That's played out, man. I hate on it till he's totally broke and ain't got nothing like me, you know what I'm saying? Because, yeah, that's what real hating is all about, man.
Hey, what's poppin', everybody? The Evil Star here. I want to welcome you to the 5th annual Player Haters Award ceremony. This gala affair, we host this once a year. We honor the most prestigious verbal abusers on the planet.
I'm top player hater from Korea. You bitches better recognize.
Again, I'm hating on all them Korean sheep, halama, dong magara, yake chok papa.
He looks like a broke-ass sexual chocolate.
Is that a cut on me?
The Player Haters Ball gives us an opportunity to hate on a diverse array of mock-ass marks, trick-ass marks, punk, bitches, and skip-scap, skanks, and scallywags, hoes, heifers, hee-haws, and hula-hoops.
Man, you ought to take that cane and beat whoever made that suit to death.
You vacuum that coat, man.
Well. The most diabolical haters this side of the Mississippi. Buck Nasser, what can I say about that suit that hasn't already been said about Afghanistan? It looks bombed out and depleted. And, of course, the so-called beautiful. Why don't you click your heels together 3 times and go back to Africa? And as for you, Bald Hole, very insulting what you said about my coat. It's made out of your mother's pubic hair. Quite chilly. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go take my throne, because I'm a shoo-in for Hater of the Year. The Player Haters Ball is not always about hating on one another. We play games with each other, too, like our annual photo flip.
Oh.
Damn.
Oh,
damn. Little ass teeth. You got dolphin teeth.
Yeah, I'm sending you a hard teeth.
He always says he doesn't want anyone to see him shine. But the looks shiny to me. He looks like Malcolm X before he converted to Islam.
Next.
Thank you, Miss Henry. Good Lord Almighty. So Osama bin Laden.
To pump my gas in my car on the way over here.
That's ironic because I take yoga classes from him. Next picture, please. I like the song the girl sings, Papa Don't Preach. I got a song for you too, bitch. It's called Daughter Don't Sing. Next picture, please.
It's Boy George.
Now that man right there, I'd hate to fight. She wears underwear with dick holes in them.
To present the award for Player Hater of the Year, Ice-T.
I'd like to welcome all you ignorant-ass bitches, critics, complainers, disgruntled rappers, and racists especially, to the 9th Annual International Player Haters Ball. Oh, man. Hate.
Man, you corny.
Next say something while I'm talking is getting shot. Please believe that. So without further ado, let me give you the nominations for Player Hater of the Year. Y'all ready? First up, Buck Nasty. Buck Nasty is nominated for getting his best friend's wife pregnant, then tricking his best friend into raising the little mother.
Yeah, holla at your boy.
Damn, that's hateful. The next nominee is Pitbull. Pitbull is nominated for calling the police on the drug dealers that moved next door to his house. Not because it was the right thing to do, just because he was jealous of all the money they was making. Pitbull! Finally, the one and only, Silky Johnson. Silky Johnson is nominated for calling in a bomb threat to the Special Olympics, man. The winner of the 9th Annual Player Hater of the Year Award is Silky Johnson.
Kiss my ass. I'm the biggest hater.
Silky mink made out of 100% rat ass. Hit me, baby.
That, of course, was beautiful talking. Beautiful on the weekends does stunts for Little Richard in gay movies. First off, I would like to thank God Almighty for giving everybody so much and me so little. I hate you. I hate you. I don't even know you, and I hate your guts. I hope all the bad things in life happen to you and nobody else but you. And as I sip my soda that I'm sure somebody spit in, I just would like to say to all of you, kiss my ass, you rotten. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go home and put some water in Buck Nasty's mama's dish. Good evening.
Ladies and gentlemen, Trick-Ass Marks, Johns, Skitty Skaz, and Hooly Hoops. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode 121 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. It is August 31st?
30th.
Yes.
The 30th.
Oh, 30th. That's
Unless
right.
we don't publish this till Friday, then it's the 31st. Are we going to put up the illusion? Are we going to make an illusion?
An illusion, yes. Welcome to the program, everybody. My name is Josh Lopez. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Notorious Joshi. Unless you're a creepy Nimrod, then I have no time for you. Make sure to follow the Clown Prince at Twitter as well at Peaky Vice and on Instagram at Daley13. What's going on, my man?
Yo, what's going on? Yeah, listen, the Clown's doing his own thing over at Pinky Vice. And there's a couple people that I'm going to add with my personal account. But yeah, the Clown's doing his thing. If you want to add him, it's just, like I said, I keep it on lockdown so the world doesn't see, listen, my stuff isn't for everybody, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have enough thick skins in the world. But, Josh, you know what? Here's one thing, though, that is really, I think, off-putting, dude. How's your weekend been, man? What was going on in Chicago? Someone told me over 100 people got shot in, one night up there. Shot and killed in one night.
No, Dave.
I didn't think that was true.
A lot of the stuff, violence-wise, has been digging up of old cases. They put the young man who killed Hadiya Pendleton 5 years ago. They finally wrapped up that trial on Monday. No, my bad, last Friday, actually. And then yesterday, they brought up the Laquan McDonald situation that more people knew that came out publicly with the Jason Van Dyke, the white policeman who shot down the young guy
right.
for no reason. And that's going to spark some issues, because if this dude is found not guilty or they leave him off in any circumstances, it's not going to be pretty. I'm just going to say that for somebody who's lived through the city and dealt with the riots as is going on with that particular case, it's fucked up, man. It's a really sad part of where we are in Chicago, and I've had my stances on how certain media outlets and our orange alien president wants to cover the situation as if they know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't. It's just unfortunate, There's a lot of cool things when it comes to Chicago, when it comes to the city, the food, the women, if you will. All In coming up this weekend as well. By the way, shout out to anybody that's coming out of town to the city. Hope you enjoy yourself. Well, you brought a protective vest just in case. Don your own Shield gear. Even if you're not a fan of the Shield, I think it may help you in the long run. I'm just saying, you don't know what can happen in my city, especially Hoffman Estates where they're going to be at. This is not a dig at Cody and the Young Bucks. I love what they're doing, and we're going to get into All In at the end of the show today. But we're coming to Chicago. Nah, you're going to Hoffman Estates. It's kind of like the suburb of Milwaukee. In a way, well, it is Chicago.
You know what? In fairness, though, WWE always promotes Chicago and they're in Rosemont, so yeah, I guess it's it's close enough.
Well, I'm still trying to figure out why we don't have wrestling shows at the United Center, but that's not my hill to die on either.
Well, it's almost like New England plays in Foxborough, but takes up a whole how many states? Like, how many states is that stupid team supposed to represent?
Is New England a real town?
No. I thought that we wanted to be rid of those Brits anyway. Isn't that what you hear over here all the time? And if you want to go back to, if you don't like it, go back to Britain. I got a lot of friends over there, though, so don't tempt me. Hey, Josh, listen, dude, here's one thing I wanted to talk about that got in my craw, so to speak, this week. You know what I don't like hearing from anybody anymore? I don't like hearing people that I'm either related to or I'm friends with that are Republicans say, I don't like them because they work with Democrats. And I don't like my friends that are Democrats or my family members that are Democrats going, I don't like them. They work with Republicans too much. Isn't that what life is? Like, you people are ruining everything for, like, all of us in the middle here that are just, like, trying to get this fucking country back to, like, what it's supposed to be. Like, you're supposed to work with the opposite side. It's almost, Josh, like, I don't know. It's a certain thing we talk about a lot, and it's the wrestling bubble, the wrestling bubble, in like the podcasting world. It's like, it's we either got to be all totally in our own product, or it's all totally against the product, and there is no in between. And it's like the 10% on each side are ruining it for the 80% in the middle. It's so mimicking politics is mimicking real life, and real life is mimicking politics, and I hate it all because if you're running around talking, I'm a Democrat, I don't like you. If you're running around, I'm a Republican, I don't like you. Be human. Be human. We're supposed to work with each other. I just bring that up because I actually saw this. I watch enough news and I watch enough of these stupid channels that I actually heard a Republican candidate and a Democrat candidate today say that their running mates worked too much with the other side. They worked across the middle too much. And that's a scary thought because we don't want to be a polarizing country like that. Like, I want my Republicans to work with Democrats. I want my Democrats to work with Republicans. Otherwise, we're just a clusterfuck. And I mean, the same kind could be said for almost every facet of life right now. But as far as it pertains to the wrestling bubble, Josh, I think this was going to be a mild segue because you know how I like to always play I like to at least somewhat try to make things better in the world, even though it's never going to be. And I know it's wasted energy and wasted exponential breath. But this was a nice segue into something, Josh, I believe that you wanted to talk about dealing with Roman Reigns and Charlotte.
Yes, sir. Before we get to that, I want to send a couple plugs out of the way really quick when it comes to our show, and one shout out. You can find our podcast everywhere: Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, YouTube, youtube.com/Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Also hit up the Facebook page, facebook.com/JWL Podcast. If you ever have a suggestion for the podcast or things that you'd like to hear us talk about that can kind of separate from the minutia that we have with the 9 million wrestling podcasts out there, we totally are open to suggestions. So please hit up myself or Adam. Either way, we have fun doing the show. We want to change things up a little bit. One shout out I want to give really quick is to a good friend MJ. She has her podcast, Ringside Revolution. 2 females doing a podcast. I think that's cool. It's something different that's good for the society right now. So a good shout out to my girl MJ.
We need more female voices. The one thing that it's just, and again, there's just not enough time in the week, and I record this while, I squeeze this into a very tiny window when we record in between work and parenting and husbanding and everything else. But, the thing that does suck is that, that Sam, doesn't do this, doesn't podcast anymore. Cause I do feel like the wrestling podcasting world lost a very good voice, a very good female voice. And there needs to be good female voices out there. I don't want men speaking for women anymore. I want to talk about, obviously we're going to talk about the women's division, all kinds of stuff, but I hate when men, I hate when men talk about a division that, I don't know, we're not women. You know what I mean? Like, we're not women, dude. Like, I'm tired of people talking for other people, you know. So, MJ, we appreciate your support, and, you know, I'll check your guys' podcast out. And I promise you I will. And I don't check podcasts out typically, because I just usually don't care about anybody else's opinion. And I know that sounds bad. I'm sorry, guys. I'm like the worst podcaster I think in the world. I'm like the Anthony Jeselnik of like this shit. And we're both from Pittsburgh, so it makes sense. No, it makes sense because we both just totally like shit on like just the world because we realize how fantastic we are, and we've just been the saviors of. I'm totally just blowing smoke on my own ass here, guys. No, but listen, that's congrats. I almost said girls, and that's such a chauvinistic thing to do. So, congrats. It's nice to have some female voices in the kerfuffle of all these oversaturated male voices.
So much for the 3 count, right? Anyways, the podcast you can find is Ringside Revolution. So check out that podcast on all your internet streaming platforms, ladies and gentlemen. All right, now let's talk about Roman Reigns and Charlotte. Going back to what we're talking about here in the first part of the show. I figured it out, brother. You know, we all had those moments of how you would say it?
It's a moment of clarity.
Moment of clarity. And I found the realization of the hatred towards Roman Reigns and Charlotte Flair. And we were talking about this before we recorded the show today. I find it interesting where you have successful people who, by the way, who are not show-offy or not all about me and this and that. When you have successful people, where it's in the wrestling world, the music world, the entertainment world in general, hell, even if you're a writer, let's say you have a fashion blog or a comedy blog, anything in life that you're successful at, but you're also a good person at the same time, it rubs people the wrong way. And
people want scum.
Yeah.
That's why they watch Jersey Bama, Shore, Reunion, Teen Mom, intervention of my cousin's Amish gypsy wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why they stream the Not Anything Interesting network as well. So we have all different cases of situations here. But let's look at Roman Reigns and Charlotte Flair. Both generational performers come from wrestling families, and I find it interesting now that where you're a Samoan or you're a former wrestler, if you're a relative of a former wrestler, there's this certain backlash that's attached to you out of the gate where you start in NXT, Raw, or SmackDown. They have the guns out for certain performers. I talk about a lot on the podcast how happy I am for guys like Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel for what they're doing with the B team. And, you know, there's people that call them jokes and this and that. Well, that's the part. It's entertainment. You're supposed to have jokes. Like, we need to have a sports presentation, just strictly sports, just serious all the time.
I doubt they would have changed their music to cheerleader themed stuff if we're supposed to take them that serious, guys.
I wonder how Twitter would feel about the New Age Outlaws during the Attitude Era, because they didn't bring barn burner matches back then. I'll just keep it at 100.
Okay.
And then when it comes to Charlotte, Stevie Wonder could figure out that she's a talented wrestler and she's good at spots.
That's because he can see, man. Come on, everyone knows that he can see. We know that. I saw him catch a mic stand. It was dropping, but it's neither here nor there. Don't tell me that man can't see. I'm joking.
This goes back to the Charlotte promo for SmackDown this week, that little backstage interview she did with Renee Young. And nothing she said on there was wrong either. And that's very interesting what's going on with this Becky Lynch and Charlotte dynamic where, Becky's being held back by the system because Charlotte's Ric Flair's daughter and she's going to get all the opportunities and she's going to be jammed down your throat like Roman Reigns. She's the female Roman Reigns. She has the spear. Oh my God, it's a spear. Just like, in NXT, every other match on the TakeOver has super kicks and pile drivers and forearm exchanges. I don't I don't get some of the things that we look at to find reasons to bitch about. Like the metrics we look at are flawed. Nielsen is flawed. dirt sheet reports are flawed. There's no context of what we're supposed to be analyzing here, right? We're supposed to be the analysts. We're supposed to be the pundits. We're supposed to be the wrestling experts.
I'm
not speaking for you and me because we're not either. But this dynamic where we have to analyze this as if it's a real sport, it's not. It's not. And also, when you look at a performer like Roman Reigns and Charlotte, and this goes back to the Republican-Democrat thing, why is it that those performers, because they're from the WWE system, get treated like crap, but, somebody from a different company comes in, they have no flaws?
Okay, actually, thank you. And that's a great way. I'm actually glad you got that in because it'll spin off into what I was about to ask you. I was going to say, Josh, do you think, and this is why I brought up the whole Republican-Democrat thing, because it's so old, guys, and we need that's scary to think that that's where we're at, that we want people to not compromise. But, Josh, do you think it's because, there's certain characters that you look at, and, whether it's, because Sasha's the one that everybody goes to right now. Sasha. When it was AJ Lee, when she was there, because of the old video package you saw with her and Lita and, her story about always wanting to become a wrestler. So those of us that love wrestling a lot of times attach ourselves to those that dreamt to be wrestlers because we always wanted to, right? Now, do you think it's basically, and I don't even know if it's necessarily a system thing, but do you think it's because people see Roman Reigns as a, quote, failed football player who fell back on what he could, and Charlotte as a failed, she played volleyball or something, or like whatever the hell she wanted to do. Who knows what she was going to do, But
gymnastics.
But to I guess for me, none of that matters. You know what I mean? Because if nothing else, playing college football, as we've seen with some other guys like Mojo Rawley and stuff like that, it can only Corbin. It can only help you to some, get into WWE to some extent because they want that athleticism. They want that. They're hoping that they can mold you into an entertainer. So I guess, Josh, maybe, do you think that plays into it? Is it they're more of a jealousy of, well, they didn't really want to be wrestlers. They just knew they could fall back on it because it's not that simple.
And we all have different journeys to the way we find success. That's something that comes with life. I judge people and how they treat me. It's just that way, how they treat me. When it comes to people that I'm indifferent to, I don't talk about them. I'm not going to trash them. It's different. And when you look at somebody like Roman Reigns, who was the captain of his college football team, he didn't make it in the NFL.
He's a quality guy. The character did.
Yeah. When you have somebody like Charlotte, who's helping charities in Charlotte and all Carolina.
Yep.
You see the reason why they're in the roles they are. I know the easy caveat and the easy scapegoat to say is, they talked to The Rock. They talked to Rick. Vince is going to back every performer that has ties to the business. That's not always the case.
Well, here's, and I guess, at the end of the day, guys, does it open a door? Absolutely. But it's up to the performer to ultimately not only commit themselves, to dedicate themselves to the craft. Because, absolutely. Does it help? Sure. But it doesn't guarantee success. And, this is going to sting, and this is why I want to bring this one up. Because sometimes you have to look at the worst of scenarios to realize how petty your argument of, well, they always are going to get over because their family's in it. Brian Christopher didn't really have the greatest career, and he didn't have the greatest end of life either. He was a troubled man, and that's the sad part of why I'm bringing this up. Success is not guaranteed. Are you kidding me? If success was guaranteed just because of who you're related to, don't you think Jerry the King Lawler's son would have been pushed to the moon then and back? And don't give me the too cool or too hottie or whatever, too cool. I think that would the tag team. I'm not talking about, but past that, they're really a flash in the pan. And I'm not discrediting them because they did fantastic work while they were there. But again, with this logic, why didn't Scotty Too Hottie kind of like float away? But, Brian Christopher ended up staying and ended up being WWE champion, multi-time champion. He's Jerry Lawler's son. Of course they'd open the door for him. That's not how it is. You have to be able to put the responsibilities on your back. You have to be able. This is a very demanding job. You know, we think that it's just like, hey guys, I'm this person's son or daughter. I'm here. When's my match? You know, it doesn't work.
You have
like
a script for me?
Like it doesn't work like that. And it's so I think you're not only doing, I think if anybody uses that excuse of, well, listen, it absolutely opens doors. Let's not be naive about that. But there has to be a follow through. You know,
yeah.
and to say that it's only because of you're not only, it's a disrespect to the business, it's a disrespect to the men and women that are busting their asses to get over, and it's a disrespect to a lot of the people that have struggled not only mentally but physically to try to get to the top but couldn't make it. I think it's one of the pettiest, cheapest things that somebody could say, oh well, it's because of this person is their father or this person is their. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it.
And I don't get the people who are like, oh, I don't have any empathy or sympathy for them as performers. Oh, they're born into business. They should know what they're doing. It's the entertainment business. I don't care if you're the fucking son of Jay-Z or Brian McKnight or Jared Leto, you know, whoever it is. Like, the pressure that comes with being a second-generation performer, whether it's music, wrestling, sports, or anything like that. Hell, look at Tony Gwynn Jr. Tony Gwynn Sr. is one of the best baseball players of all time. And his son hadn't dealt with the pressures, and I think he's in a minor league team now. You know, there's athletes all around the world. Hell, everybody thought Michael Jordan's kids were going to be the next up-and-coming in the NBA draft. None of them play in the league now.
Right. And, you know, and see, it's not, nobody, it's funny, brother, because it's the only time a legacy is a guarantee is in politics. If you want to keep it 100. You know what I mean? Let's just keep it 100. That's the only time again, and that's, and then let's ask Hillary Clinton how good that is.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It's brutal, man.
No, it's funny. Listen, no, but that's the exact. It's the exact kind of thing. I mean, we could laugh at. Everybody always says it's the guaranteed open door, it's the guaranteed this and that, you know. But of course I'd be, you know, well, as long as the door's open, why wouldn't they be able to follow through? Like, I don't, sometimes, Josh, I wonder if those of us who watch this product really understand and truly understand the grind, the intricacies of not only a match, but how they have to conduct themselves outside. Like, brother, I don't think that people really truly get what it takes to be in this, you know, to be in that industry. I don't want to say this business. Podcasting, any idiot with a microphone can do it. Look at me. I'm doing it. But, you know, that is something that it takes talent, it takes work, it takes repetition. It's not like you walk in, and I know I keep saying this, but it's not like you walk in and just say, all right, I'm main eventing tonight. They're two solid quality people, two solid quality athletes. And I do think that's a lot of it, Josh. Listen, and it does not, for people that want to hate on them, it doesn't hurt that they're attractive too. You know, because when people are when you add an attractive layer on top of that, especially men, because men are petty. And I always use this example. For the longest time, the debate was always Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby, Alex Ovechkin. And with men hated Crosby. He was a whining crybaby. And Ovechkin was this blah, 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 blah. No, it's because Crosby was humble and was a good teammate, and he was Mr. Steal Your Girl that was winning championships, you know. And Ovechkin wasn't a threat because he looks like Josh. You're too young to remember, but we had these thing called Mad Balls, and it was like a squishy kind of like ball back when I was a little kid. And there was like a bunch of different real ugly motherfuckers that they used to have, and it was all like had these goofy names and it looked like they were all dipped in like atomic waste and stuff, and it was supposed to be real goofy, eyes hanging out or whatever. That's what Ovechkin looks like. So, you know, dudes typically aren't going to be threatened by a dude like that. And that's, look at the NFL. People loved Manning because he was just a goofy hick. Let's call it like it is. Peyton Manning's an easy digestion because he's a goofy hick. Tom Brady has class. Tom Brady, say what you want. Every team cheats. I don't care. It's whatever. But Tom Brady has a supermodel wife. Tom Brady is a model himself. Even if it's for Uggs, but we won't go there. But you know, but the dude has class. The dude has, say what, you know, I'm not, you know, I don't like Tom Brady as a person, but I respect the hell out of him. You know, I mean, and it's the same kind of situation, brother. I think it's more of I think it's a more of a jealousy aspect of a combination of things. I think you hit the nail on the head, dude. I think when they're a little more humble, it really eats at people because they want them to be flawed. They want them to be, I think sometimes it burns people that Charlotte in a way kind of fell into wrestling is to pay homage, to do what her brother couldn't, you know? And I think that's one of the most honorable things, lover or hater. I think that's amazing to be able to do. But go ahead, brother.
For those who don't know, the reason why I kind of connect to Roman Reigns and Charlotte in a way is that I relate to them in certain manners. Not that I was born in a wrestling family or anything like that, but I grew up, for those that know me and know my story before becoming a broadcaster, I come from a musical family from my mom's side. And my grandfather owns a guitar shop, and I had uncles play, not any famous musicians or anything like that, but my Aunt Berta was the choir director at my church. I come from a music family. We don't have money like music family or the success like a Roman Reigns or Charlotte Flair does, but when you have a certain talent that comes to you naturally and you don't like rub it in people's faces, that's another reason people look at you differently. And I dealt with that in high school. Playing in different competitions, playing at Navy Pier, playing at the United Center, playing at different venues around the country for jazz competitions and this and that. But I was humble because I had my goal. For those that know my story, my goal in high school was to get into Berkeley, and I did it. And I was focused on that. I wasn't worried about adulations, this and that. The only award I wanted was to get into that school to prove people wrong. That's it. So in a way, a lot of people, and I'm not afraid to admit this. I was one of the least liked people in my high school class. And I kind of take that as a badge of honor because I didn't treat people wrong, but people like to drop assumptions about you and like to say shit about you that they don't even know you.
Listen, dude, I used to wear a Marilyn Manson shirt in high school that had 666 on the back, and everyone called me a Satanist. And like it was funny because some people called me a jock because I played baseball. Some people called me I was either a jock, a pretty boy, a skater, I forget. See, I'm trying to think of some of the '90s terminology that people got called. But I was like everything that you could have possibly been called at that time, and I was like, can I just be me and just be a human?
Like here's something I want to pose to everybody. Do you feel like you need to be part of the system or you want to be your own human being? Because as an artist, as a broadcaster, I'm comfortable in my own skin and what I want to do with my life. I'm not going to be part of the system.
People want to be a part of the system. That's what ties into last week, brother, happiness and slavery. People, whether they admit it or not, they would much rather be told what to do, be spoon-fed. This is how you think. This is how you should dress. This is how you should wear. This is what you should do. This is how. People want to be told what to do so that they can just fall uniformly in line, and then it just takes, people can't stand. It's a rare individual to be able to stand on your own 2 feet because you're not intentionally bucking the system, but you're getting all the residual criticism and kickback. You know what I mean? And that's I think where there is absolutely where people do go into cliques. And when I mean cliques, I don't mean like cliques as in clickbait. I mean that's when they form cliques, and that's when they form because it's much they'd much rather feel like they were a part of something than it is. Listen, it's hard being an outsider that you don't. I'd much rather, but again, Punk said it. Everyone said it. I had an ex-girlfriend say it to me before Punk ever said it on TV. So it's fucking. So we'll make fun of Punk for that one. But listen, I'd rather be hated for what I am than loved for what I am not. Right. So, and all you ever hear on here is a lot of genuine talk. I mean, and I don't care that I make enemies in the process doing that, because I don't want to placate to people. We need people to challenge each other to not only forward a wrestling narrative, but to forward just humanity. You know what I mean? We have to challenge each other just to be, and I mean, and challenge each other, not yell at each other, not debate each. I mean, actually talk, conversate, challenge each other. That's what life's about.
Yeah, we need to get back to having rational conversations. And as a broadcaster and as a guy that's seen wrestling podcasts come and go along the way and see where we are as the podcast, the way it is right now, there's just too much repetition. I don't feel any genuism in a lot of the shows I listen to. I'm sorry. I'm just keeping it 100. And I'm not afraid to say that in ways me and Adam are open books to a fault in a way in certain times.
Absolutely.
We're not going to come on here and act like we're not flawed human beings either. But one thing you'll always get with this show, no matter what's going on, whether Raw's good or not, or SmackDown or whatever's going on in wrestling, you're going to have a fun, genuine conversation with two guys.
Yeah, listen, you're either going to laugh at me or laugh with me, and I don't really give a shit either way. As long as you're laughing, I don't care. And this is something, speaking about how everybody gets caught up in their own bullshit and how wrestling and the media and stuff, I'm going to bring all of this together. Mm-hmm. Josh, I'm a wizard today, brother. I came prepared. I brought my B team game. But see, you didn't get to see this, and that's why I didn't want to tell you the story before we started taping. But so to make a long story short, there was a kayfabe news article put out that let me get the exact thing. It was basically Trump goes after left wing site or something like that. Over let me see. I'm going to pull up the kayfabe news article now. But long story short, there was a conservative pundit that bought it. That actually bought the article as real, as a real news article, and went. Of course, the liberals would try and shut them down and blah blah blah. And I'm not. Listen, it could have been done on either side, and I'm not. They wrote an article that says Trump blasts Pro Wrestling Illustrated as fake news for not including him in PWI 500. When the real kayfabe joke is the PWI 500 because it's more of like, no, I joke. I used to always read the PWI 500, so I'm not going to knock anyone for reading that. But kayfabe puts this out there. And there was a news pundit from a Fox affiliate in like some Orlando or somewhere. You can go on Twitter and look it up. But to make a long story short, dude, she thought it was legitimate and ran with it. And was like, of course, the liberal right, like wrestling, whatever, was like making it seem like it was a democratic liberal thing. And people were just blasting her like, do you know what the term kayfabe means? Like, you are a journalist. Like, you really, like, and it was like, and I'll admit, it did galvanize. I feel like it probably galvanized the wrestling community for a minute because it was so, dude,
that's funny.
Brother, this was one of the funniest things. Like, for me, it was like, I was shocked. And I don't get shocked by anything anymore. I couldn't believe somebody fell for a kayfabe. We always talk. I was a little kid. I know all the bull. I don't want to say I know all the bullshit, but you read bullshit a mile away when you grow up reading the Weekly World News, and you know it's satire at age 7, and your parents are going, that's not real, right? And you're like, oh yeah, I really thought there was a bat child living in this fucking cave over here. You know what I mean? Like, there's this motherfucker with some fang-looking things.
We done with the Nancy Grace stuff when it comes to wrestling.
Jeez, yeah,
that's another topic for another show.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's wrap this up with the Roman Charlotte thing. I know in sports we held certain athletes to different standards, but in wrestling I don't. I just want to be entertained by what you do on the mic and the ring. I'm not going to hold you to a different standard where you're a wrestler that's second generation or not. I don't care what company you come from either, to be honest with you. I really don't. All wrestlers have different journeys to make it to the WWE or not. It's just how it is. And when I look at Roman Reigns and Charlotte, am I entertained by the work? Yes. And that's what I gauge it by. I'm not saying that's the only way to gauge it. I mean, do what's best for you, but I feel like in ways, I don't know why we have to held Charlotte and Roman to a different standard, and we're just going to peg them at every little thing they do. Yada, yada, yada. Every single week, it's nitpick this, nitpick that. Like, I'm sorry that you get offended by people that are good at their job. I'm sorry.
You know what Josh, what if I told you, and I want to get your reaction on this one. What if I told you that, did you used to watch Key and Peele?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Were you a fan of the show?
Yeah.
Okay. What if I told you?
I had a lot of people tell me that show sucked though, but I gave it a shot.
Yeah, I get it. Well, because I know what demographics probably telling you that it sucked too, but I hate to be that guy, but it is what it is. But what if I told you that Keegan-Michael Key, he didn't start out to do comedy, right? Do you know his story?
Not fully, but I know
I'm pretty sure he wanted to do dramatic theater. He wanted to do dramatic theater, fell into a comedy troupe, like a skit type troupe or whatever, and then it just ended up taking off. And so he's going back in and trying to do some dramatic things while you know, him and Peele kind of like, him and Jordan Peele kind of, they'll keep coming in and doing movies and going back out doing their thing, coming in and doing like a movie together and stuff or whatever. But yeah, his intent wasn't to get into comedy like this. Like, and it's funny because it's in the wrestling world, we'd be like, no, Jordan Peele's better. Because Jordan Peele wanted to be a comedian his whole life. And he's the better of the duo, and other people would be like, no, it's got to be Key, because Key wanted to do the dramatic shit, and that's exactly how, like, realistically, that's what we sound like as wrestling fans. We're bickering over to, and that's a comedy team that is, to me, is to say, like, second to none. And is they're one of a kind. There's something we'll never see. You know, there's been great comedy teams that are always one of a kind, but there was something special about them too. But it wasn't meant to be like that. Does that mean that we were supposed to love them any less? Absolutely not. You know what I mean? In a way, it should make us appreciate them a little bit more, knowing that never really should have happened. You know? I don't know. Or am I just being too optimistic?
No, you're being real.
I don't know. I think just maybe the world needs some optimism, man. And that's just, I feel like we're looking at everything all wrong. Like, instead of, I don't know, brother, like, you know, like the kayfabe news thing, what do you think about it? Give me your thoughts on that. Like, an actual news, like, a journalist, an actual, like, journalist, like, not pundit on any of these idiotic channels or whatever, like, a legitimate, what's an alleged journalist today, you know? And I feel bad for like, journalists, because I wanted to be a journalist, and everybody told me not to, because I'd have to move out of Beaver County. Jesus Christ, but that wouldn't have been the best thing that ever happened to me. But, you know, but like, we're at this point where anything is believable. Like, is that scary, or like, I mean, where are you at with that?
This is just one of the major flaws I always had with the media, just from going to school and the stuff I learned along the way. There's just a certain mindset you need to have when it comes to structuring your work. For those that are in the business, know that you have to apply a lot of research to the things you publish. You can't just wake up one day like, oh, I'm just going to put something on this website. You need to have context. You need to look at things with a certain lens. And it's unfortunate. There's a lot of uptightness that comes with the media world, where you're a news anchor and you have to be the straight guy the whole time. And like, let's say you watch the news, right? Local news. Let's put the political, subjective rant debate shows out. Like, they don't matter. You're strict CBS local news, whatever channel it is, and you're watching a conversation with somebody, and right as the conversation is coming in, there's no jokes in between. It's some passive-aggressive saying to lead way to the next conversation. There's pressure, there's things and demands that program directors apply to you that you need to have, and it's a certain mindset you need to have at all times.
The frightening thing, you're absolutely right there, and I'm sorry not to cut you off, but the frightening thing though is that those rules, they are a-changing though, and I say that because, and that's why I feel like there's a reason why I wanted to bring this up, and it did tie into wrestling, is because, you know, there was a guy in Pittsburgh here that worked for the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette that ultimately got fired because he was just a political cartoonist. And this year, for whatever reason, I mean, there's a big backstory, management, it got bought out, there's a whole bunch of shit. Long story short, a lot of it, and listen, political shit's gonna be political shit, and a lot of it was, he said a lot of his, like, anti-Trump stuff was getting iced, it was just getting thrown off to the side, until they finally fired him. I mean, that's a problem. You know what I mean? I thought it was the liberal media that was, you know, but again, that's the mudslinging on both sides where that becomes problematic. And Josh, let me ask this question though for you, because I totally hear what you're saying with the media. But, and this is where I always tell people, especially when they're complaining about Trump, we get the president and the media coverage that we deserve. The media's job is to give us what we want. And unfortunately, what is being, you know, and I don't like what I see on the media, but unfortunately, that's the extremes that are watching these channels, and only their secular channels. That's why I watch, and I legitimately watch, and Josh, I'm not kidding with you. I watch CNN, I watch One American News, I watch Newsmax, I watch The Blaze, and I watch Fox News, and I watch Fox News Business. That's fucking stupid. I refuse to watch MSNBC just because it's fucking, I just refuse to. It's bullshit. So I don't know. And I just like to know all the other bullshit that's out there. So I literally hear all the bullshit that's out there, and the echo chambers are so crazy, and it does mimics wrestling, it mimics any form of entertainment right now. It's kind of mimicking that, and that's where I'm concerned, Josh, is because we can blame the media because they're capitalizing on it, but it's almost like a don't hate the player, hate the game kind of scenario, and I think that's why we get frustrated with the podcasting world, because all the podcasting world is doing now is. And there's still some really great podcasts out there. Don't think I'm saying that there's not good podcasts out there. There's a hell of a lot of, there's a million people out there that are better than me. But what I'm saying is that a lot of it is, let's see what Twitter's talking about and only talk about that, and I think we're starting to branch away with that, dude. I know, like, a lot of the stuff that I watch, whether it's even, whether it deals with politics or sports or news or this or that, I like it where it's casual conversation so that they're not trying to sell me or tell me or anything like that. You're just hearing people talk about it where then I can go research and form my own opinion and do my, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that's where I will always worry, and I feel like it's getting dangerous.
I just feel the whole game is flawed from different spectrums of it. And
it's the insatiable need to be right. And I don't understand where that came from.
Yeah.
It came from technology, because then it made everybody a know-it-all because we have a phone in our hand.
Yeah, it's just regular conversations has gone away where you're not even getting news to the point. It's what they think you should know.
It's talking points.
It's talking points. And then when you listen to sports talk radio, those conversations are as flawed as some of the stuff I listen to on other podcasts.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
You could try to have the sports center type of show and be professionally run, brand, and this and that, and I'll commend you to try to do that. But one thing that's I've learned in this business, and I learned it from Hoodie, and he's always been right on this. Genuism will always bring you further along than having a hot take.
Absolutely.
You have your opinion. If you don't apply context to it, nobody's going to give a shit what you have to say.
I agree. Because eventually you're going to be – you will show your hand as a fraud if you're constantly giving, like, disingenuous hot takes just to placate to a fan base. You're eventually people are going to figure out that you're a fraud, versus somebody that's evolving with the product that they're covering.
And trust me, ladies and gentlemen, I understand we're in the ratings business. This is what it is when you have certain media outlets. Especially sports talk radio and television, you're in the ratings business.
We're not like 10, right? Ratings?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Maybe -1. Who knows?
You're right.
But, like, it's frustrating because I know in the business over the years, and it's just an outdated system we're in right now, and the outdated culture, outdated mindset culture we're in right now. And I know having very strong takes and sparking conversation is the end-all be-all in the business right now. I want to have real conversations. I want to change the media for better. That's why I'm doing this. If you asked me 5 years ago if I wanted to be a broadcaster, I would have told you no, unless it was wrestling-wise. Because the only thing I wanted to do besides go on the road and play at all these music venues and be a musician, only thing I ever wanted to do was be at ringside at a wrestling show and call wrestling matches. That's it. As a young kid, those were two things I always wanted to do. I wanted to be a musician. I didn't have to be the lead singer or anything. Don't worry, my ego's not that big. But I wanted to play around the world or call wrestling shows for the WWE. That's it. And, and along the way of being part of the media and doing podcasts and doing articles and the people I networked along the way, I feel maybe I'll reach that goal one day. But you know what? Paths are not determined by anybody.
Yeah. Well, no, it's funny, man, because like I always had like when I was little kid, like a little bucket list, and when it came to wrestling, man, I just always wanted to be a manager. It's the Bobby Heenan thing. It was the when it came to wrestlers because my first influences were Heenan and then Perfect, Kurt Hennig. And well, Flair too. So it was one of those where it's just I always wanted to be that Intercontinental Champion guy, or I always just wanted to be. That was always like my pinnacle. Was like I just want to be the IC champ. But I just ultimately just always wanted to be a wrestling man. And listen, I got to do that, and it was at a small indie show. It was nothing big, nothing grand, but I got for one day I got my 15 minutes of fame as everybody does in a very small gym or whatever. But brother, that's all I needed. Like I was actually just telling my daughter about it last night. Like that will still get out as like one of the greatest days of my life. Just being able to walk through a curtain with one of my boys and look over and see my wife and kids sitting there and just kind of just take that moment in and kind of contribute to a show for a segment. It was really an honorable thing to do. It was really it was an overwhelming feeling in a way of like, wow, I can't believe that. I mean, granted, so it was a small scale promotion. It's nothing big. I'm not trying to fucking inflate myself here by any stretch of imagination. Right. But it was just something that it was a boyhood dream that I don't care how small it was. I was in a wrestling ring. You know what I mean? I was in that suit. I was there to represent someone. It was what, is how I envisioned myself as a little kid if I was, so it was just fun, man. And I think, and from a media standpoint, all I ever wanted to do was really interview someone. And Sam and I got to interview Jimmy Corderas, and had a blast interviewing Jimmy Corderas. I mean, amazing dude. Oh, we had so much fun talking to him, man. So, man, ultimately, it sucks because, it's funny, like I said, I always said, like, growing up, I kept telling, we'll just say people in my family, because again, people listen to things and they get oversensitive about things. So, I would always bring up that I either wanted to go into something like media-wise or entertainment, or like I wanted to skip a year of school and maybe take some classes or go to wrestling school or whatever. And I just kept getting told that, man, you're an asshole. You're an asshole. Basically, you're going to join the military if you're going to do that. And so I went to college to be a teacher. Be a teacher. They always need teachers until there's computers. And then the computers are teaching us. Yeah, man. So, and I guess if any of the younger or anybody that's in our young audience out there, don't listen. Follow your dreams. Don't listen to anybody out there telling you not to do. Follow your dreams first. You can always fall back on what everybody else wants you to be later on. Be you. Like Josh, you hit the nail on the head. Hoodie, shout out to you too, brother, because you're absolutely right. Being genuine, being authentic will always get you further. And that's any form of business, relationships, life, whatever. Be authentic.
Yeah. And one good thing to wrap up this Charlotte Roman topic is this. While they may not fit your standards as a wrestling fan, that doesn't mean they're not good at their jobs.
Absolutely. Brother, I've worked with some people that I've despised. You know what I mean? Like, as soon as we would walk out the doors, we would never, ever say two words to each other. As soon as we walked in them doors to work, or if we were out working on a project, working on a business deal, working on whatever, you'd think that we were like brothers in arms, man. So it's just how it is. And you know what's funny, man? I think it's funny that, there's not too many podcasts out there that could take the internet hate of two human beings because they hate their character and completely turn it into this psychological conversation about how it's not only the hatred of just like the obsessive hate that we typically have, you started the show with it. Hate. Next podcaster that says something to me is getting shot. No, I totally good with that. Jeez, I would never own a gun in my life. Yeah, that's a terrible joke to say. I was from Chappelle Show. I just had to change some words so I didn't get in trouble because I don't like certain words, and I should have changed the gun part of it too. See, and this is the thing, like today's a sensitive society, I am still that old school dude, brother, that I'm not also like, hey, everything's sunny and roses. Like, I want to tell off-color jokes, but it's hard to tell off-color jokes when you have people that truly are either attacking somebody like a Roman Reigns or, they're getting death threats for absolutely, like, no reason. They're getting picked apart for no reason.
That intro makes me miss Charlie Murphy, man. Oh God.
Charlie Murphy is funny.
Hey, let me ask you this. You think they have a photo flip at StarCast this weekend? That dude got dolphin teeth.
They should. They should have a player haters. They should have someone set up a player haters ball booth with like a bunch of old photos, like have Virgil up there, you know what I mean? Flip Virgil over at someone else, and flip him off with somebody else, and they could all just everybody. That's like we're giving you guys like you guys say that we're the outsiders, we're the outliers, we're the rebels, we're the ones that don't want to be. We're giving you guys material. God damn it, we're handing you material hand over fist. You're welcome.
Yeah, you got Virgil, you got Brutus the Barber Beefcake. You can add Jim Cornette to the list if you want.
What was it? What was he? He wasn't the Acolyte, was he? What was he? He was the Acolyte, wasn't he?
Who?
Beefcake. For a minute in WCW. He was the Apostle.
Yes.
Yeah, he was the Apostle. And his finisher was what? Shit.
Oh, man. As a transcriber, I feel bad that I don't know wrestling moves.
It was actually just on my tongue, so I had to think of his name. Well, whatever. I'm sure the internet can correct us on that.
Yeah.
It's something else.
That should be some good trivia. What's your favorite finisher from ultra popular wrestlers?
Oh, God.
Hey, do you know what the signature move is from Heidenreich?
Yeah. Yeah, it's called Me Too.
Oh.
You're welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I still ain't gonna lose that side of me.
Oh shit, man! I love you. That's good.
Listen, so real quick before we get to what we loved about what we're, you can introduce the segment, but I want to just toss in one thing real quick. God damn it, Corey Graves, you're such a great human being. I don't know if anybody caught this out there. The subtle Marilyn Manson reference, the Putting Holes in Happiness reference, was so fucking smooth. You were the man, Corey Graves. Not that anybody would ever be hearing this that would be able to relay that message, but if you're a Marilyn Manson fan and you were listening to commentary Monday Night on Raw, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
How about the Rob Halford?
So good.
Missed.
It was so good. It was so dead on, too.
Just the utter disgust in Graves' reaction to that. That was tremendous. Let's transition to Raw, actually, because during the podcast this week, we're going to talk about the 5 things WWE is doing right since the Money in the Bank pay-per-view we went to through SummerSlam. And this is something that we're going to be doing throughout the big 4 pay-per-views. So the next time we'll do this, it'll be after Survivor Series.
And we obviously understand that Money in the Bank isn't one of the big 4, but it kind of feels like a big 5 now. So we just want to tie Money in the Bank in because, it just feels better than going all the way back to WrestleMania.
Yeah, so we're going to get to that list, and you can share us things that you like so far from the summer of WWE. It could be, you could add stuff from NXT as well if you want. So I'll open up the conversation to you guys as well on social media.
Yeah, NXT is under the WWE brand. I mean, that's as much as people want to say it's not, it is. Yeah, and 205 Live too.
My God, Buddy Murphy and Kalisto killed it the other night. Good God,
So I have heard.
That Buddy Murphy is the real deal, and I'm so happy that he's fighting Cedric Alexander for the title at the Australia show. That show's going to be very interesting, and this is a good way we can segue into Raw this week because last couple of weeks we've seen more of a build for this Super Showdown than it has for that Greatest Royal Rumble. Because not only are we building up this Undertaker Triple H thing, and hey, man, I have a certain bias. I'm an Undertaker guy, and Triple H is one of my favorite heels of all time. So I know, I get it. We had the end of the era, and I know people are tired of the matches and are tired of seeing the Undertaker. And I know, B-Rob, you want the Undertaker to go the fuck home and stay the fuck home. I created that segment with you too as well, my man. Don't forget that.
and listen, guys, I want you guys to also understand like how frightening this is for me because like as fans, you're saying, well, we don't want it. And listen, I hear you. I understand. I'm not agreeing or disagreeing, but I understand. But here's where I'm at with it. Listen, I got married at that WrestleMania. It was supposed to be the end of an era. It was supposed to be once in a lifetime. It was supposed to be all these things that were only supposed to be one thing, like when you get married. So all these things are happening. So can we stop breaking everything that was supposed to only be like once in a lifetime? Because, Sam and I can't be the only ones that keep the bond from that day, guys. I mean, you can't put all the pressure on us.
Let me ask you a question. When was Braun Strowman a babyface besides Nicholas?
Thank you. I'm glad that you brought that up. That's realistically the only time. That's something that I wanted to talk about. I think, you know what, man? I think that what I saw from the adverse reactions on Raw, and listen, guys, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. It was wild because Josh, I saw Raw and was like, holy shit, this was so good. And then, like, a couple days later when I went on Twitter and saw people just shredding it, I was like, oh, it wasn't good. But for me at the end, like, I'll admit, I popped whenever Braun grabbed on the Roman and went, I told you, I'm not finished with you. I was like, oh, yes. Like, yes, they brought back, finally. We always, as fans, we complain. They never tie up loose ends. They forget about things. We were being played by Braun this whole time. We played ourselves, brother.
Yep.
He's been doing heel shit this entire time.
Yeah, I don't know babyfaces that tip over cars for wrestlers who wanted to be their tag team partner earlier in the night. Yeah, that's a real babyface.
You know what? But here's Josh. But go ahead. Yeah, I want you to give your thoughts on Raw. Then we'll spin it back to me.
It's like anytime we talked about Raw or SmackDown or a big pay-per-view, I like these threads of just vitriol, and I just get a laugh out of it now. I used to be annoyed by it back then. I just start laughing now because when I see a tweet that says, "Oh, I think Raw or WWE in general would try to take a step forward when Monday Night Football is coming up," I just start chuckling because anybody that's watched Monday Night Football and is a real NFL fan knows Monday Night Football fucking sucks. I am not an NBA guy anymore, but I would rather watch NBA games on Thursday on TNT than watch Monday Night Football.
Yo, I don't even want to watch Thursday Night Football, man. Like, I don't want Thursday night games either when it comes to football, but that's neither here nor there.
I'm getting more content, and I know this show has a lot of content like the NFL does. I get more enjoyment throughout the week with WWE than I would the NFL. I don't watch baseball. I keep up with the standings. My White Sox are in the middle of a rebuild, and I got to deal with annoying Cubs fans. So my sports world is kind of all over the place.
I was going to say, as a Raider fan, I don't. I mean, it's laughable to say that I enjoy my 4 hours of Oakland Raiders football every week more than anything because I think it's more like self-torture. I think there really is something wrong with me. I think I'm a disturbed human. My new self-infliction is being a 34-year-long Raider fan. At age 38, going on 39. I'm going on like my 35th year of being a Raider fan. That's 35 torturous years, brother.
I wanted to mention this last week. I felt really bad not mentioning it, but I think it's cool that they're using this Super Showdown thing as like more of a pay-per-view than just a house show. There are storylines attached to the matches that are on this show. I'm going to go over the matches in a couple minutes, but
I have a question for you about that.
Go ahead, Brad.
Do you think it's because technically the pay-per-view in October is Evolution? So yes. This is kind of like where the men are getting their pay-per-view matches?
Yeah, slightly, but I think they want Evolution to be the main pay-per-view for that month.
Oh, absolutely. All their focus. Yes. I think they're building, and listen, they were going to have this stuff anyway, and it might end up still being like a live show type of feel versus a pay-per-view.
But it wasn't booked right.
Yeah, we're still going to get all the same complaints out of it, but you know what, man, I do think that we'll get better matches there than we did in Saudi Arabia. But I agree. It cannot and it won't take away from Evolution at the end of the month either. You know what I mean? But it was. Listen, this is where you got to give WWE credit. This is beautiful placement because you have your September pay-per-view, and then you have a couple weeks. The beginning of October, you have this. Then you have a couple weeks, and then you get your all-women's pay-per-view. Then it's Survivor Series. So the men's storyline, it's not like it skips a month. You're still getting men's storylines in October in some capacity, even though it'll probably just be DQs and double countouts and whatever the case may be. Yeah. It's at least they're still. I mean, I don't know, Josh. I'd say they were listening to the fans and trying to make everybody happy, but I know that other people would say they're not listening to the fans. But I don't know. I guess it's half glass, half full.
Yeah.
Half glass, half full.
I know the
that
football
wouldn't even make any sense.
I know the football meatheads are going to be up in their panties, but don't worry. Super Showdown's on a Saturday. It's not on a Sunday, so you're fine. Don't worry.
My biggest fear was that because it starts at 4 a.m. our time. Well, you're in the Central Time Zone. I'm sorry. In the Eastern Time Zone, it starts at 4 a.m.
Well, I'm treating the show like a Japan special, so I'll be fine.
I thought after my daughter, we were talking about it. She was like, oh, I was like, I think it's a Saturday because we were worried, she's going to be in school. We were worried it was going to be a Friday. I knew it was more in the daytime, and Fridays are my office days, like when I'm not working from home, I go to the office. And we were like, man, I hope it's not. And I was like, oh no, cool, it's on a Saturday. And I went, but you look at your almost 9-year-old and go, well, looks like we're eating breakfast at like 3:30 in the morning. But no, it's that'll be one of those where we wake up, watch that, and then have like a nice little morning crash. But do you like how they have these special events in different time zones? Like, does it make it feel a little more special to you, or is it an inconvenience? Because I know a lot of people, and I know, listen, guys, I preach all the time, 168 hours in a week. There's not enough time in the day, let alone in a week, so I understand how some people could be turned off by, the time on this, but again, you also don't have to watch it live though too. Don't forget that, guys. So you don't have to complain about that. But, Josh, how does the timing make you feel? I mean, does it make it feel a little bigger for you? Is it an inconvenience? Cause it'll start at 3 a.m. your time in the central time zone.
Yeah. It'll probably end, either 8 or 9 o'clock my time.
Wow. Yeah, it's going to be about 5 hours, I'm guessing.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
I'm giving this a 5-hour window.
It may even start earlier with the kickoff show. You never know if they'll add extra stuff on it. Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's cool. I haven't seen a show in Australia. I haven't. So I want to see how those fans are. I looked at the stadium that they're performing. That sucker is huge.
It looks so cool too, doesn't it?
Yeah. Australia is one of the places I always wanted to visit. I've never been there before, so it'd be cool. Going back to Raw, I just want to go over a couple things real quick before we talk about the matches on the shows and stuff. And I wanted to add some SmackDown stuff to this as well, because I thought SmackDown was good as well this week. Kevin Owens, once again, put on another show. It is the Kevin Owens show after all. And just showing everybody that guy is the man.
He's awesome.
I know the question's out there. Is he going to be on All In? No. Did he quit? No. But there was something early in the show that you pointed out to me before we recorded today about how Braun Strowman handled the Money briefcase situation. So Raw started with Roman and Braun. They got each other's face.
How you say things is important.
Yep. And Braun goes into Braun's basically saying, "Oh, I'll see you in Hell in a Cell." He's cashing his briefcase. They're going to have the Universal title match in Hell in a Cell. Cool. I like Roman Reigns Braun Strowman matches. It's pure chaos. They had a good rivalry last year. And are people feeling excited for Braun Strowman if it wasn't for the Roman Reigns feud? I don't know. That's the question for you good peeps out there. And when you look at the segment, they announced the Hell in a Cell match, and then Baron Corbin comes out, and they have a backstage segment later on, and Braun Strowman's like, "Here's your Money to Bank briefcase.
Here's your briefcase."
Yeah, here's your briefcase. I'll see you at Hell in a Cell.
He didn't say, "Here's my briefcase. Here's your briefcase." He never gave it to a referee. He never, and I understand they said that, okay, yeah, well, he's cashing in his Money in the Bank, but technically, until that bell rings, he doesn't cash in Money in the Bank.
Correct.
So by saying, "Here's your briefcase," that I love the ambiguity behind this. This opens so many, especially if you're a wrestling fan that doesn't go on the dirt sheets and you really want to like fantasy book in your own head and have fun with it. How many directions can Corbin now cash in? Do they give it to KO to bring him back on the show to make sure that he doesn't leave? You know what I mean? Like there's so many ways they can go with this.
And Corbin was talking to Stephanie earlier in the show and saying, "Hey, I'm trying to figure this thing out with Kevin Owens."
You know what?
Because he quit.
And I'll say it. And I know I'm wrong in this, but I actually think that Corey Graves is secretly the GM. I think he's feeding Corbin what to do. I think there's a big fight, and I'm probably wrong with this, but I actually think that that's the whole thing that you and I always talk about off camera. But even if they don't do it, see, that's why I love the little things that they do. What they do. That's what makes it fun, because even if they don't, if they don't pull the proverbial trigger on a stable or like a heel faction, kind of another like authority type figure forming, it adds a lot of. You look at the dialogue that they say, it gives you a different reason to look at it. I listen to the announcers talk. I was like, "Wow, Graves, you you must be real happy with your boy Corbin and stuff like that. Or Kester Gray is going, another fantastic decision by. And I understand that it's always kind of been like that, but they've been putting a lot more emphasis on it recently. And that's why I started thinking like, holy shit, what if it's really Graves that's calling the shots?
Yeah. And by the way, for everybody, the brainiacs out there, the know-it-alls that are everything in wrestling has to make sense to them or it's the end of the world, Braun Strowman is a heel. And if you ever looked at the rivalries with the Shield and the people they fought against, none of them make sense. They fought Big Show, Randy Orton, and Sheamus as the opening match of WrestleMania 29. They fought the New Age Outlaws and Kane for their first WrestleMania match. They fought Team Hell No and Ryback. Besides Evolution and the Wyatt family, had the Shield's rivalries ever made sense? Hell, look at last year at TLC when they had Miz, The Bar, Kane, and Braun Strowman. The plot device is not to make sense to have sensible feuds with the Shield. It's to take out the Shield. So you need to assemble people where they're friends, butt buddies, butt fuckers. I don't care what the situation is. If they're together, they need to take out the Shield. That's why Braun Strowman is with Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre. They announced that the Shield are fighting Braun Strowman, Dolph Ziggler, and Drew McIntyre at the Australia show. Writing on the wall. And this is not saying, this is another example. Braun Strowman's going to be fed to Roman Reigns at Hell in a Cell, and he's going to lose in Australia. It may happen. I don't know. And honestly, I don't give a shit. But stop with the fucking narratives that are not true. You have this thing that's been stuck in your head for 3 years. The guy's good at what he does. I'm not telling you have to kiss his ass or you have to be a supermart for him. But just stop with the bullshit already.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting old and it's getting trite. But I will say, those you bring up some good points. I think, dude, that it's what WWE did. And this is just, hear me out, and I'm not trying to change anybody's opinion because I'm not, but I'm just trying to think outside the box a little bit. Typically with bigger guys, Josh, it's rare. It's rare. It's very rare. And maybe that's why fans were so disappointed with the end of Raw, but it's rare that we find like a bigger guy, you know what I mean? Like a giant type of guy that fans can really get behind. Because they're usually booked as what they should be, as the immovable object, the giant. It's the guy that you can't beat. It takes 18 people to pin him. Like, it's supposed to always be that. So to cheer for that person when typically, it's funny. On one end we're popping for Braun Strowman, who's the ultimate bully, and on the other end we're cheering for Daniel Bryan, who's the ultimate underdog. And so it's kind of, in a way, you kind of got to look at what Braun Strowman was. We were kind of. Listen, and I'm not saying that I was popping for him every week too, and I'm still going to pop for him. But I think in a way WWE kind of got out ahead of the fans turning on him anyways. Because say if they were going to put the title on Strowman, which I don't think they're going to, or maybe not, like down the line. But if they were going to put the title on Strowman, it's almost like Daniel Bryan. Where do you go? People turned on Lesnar. People turn on, if you have the title for a certain amount of time, or if it's like, okay, we finally got him to the top. Now, where do we go? There's a lot of times where, and that's why I think a lot of the arguments over the championships, I stay out of them, just because, like we always say, Josh, I typically like it when my wrestlers or when my favorites are out of the title picture anyway, because creatively they could do a little bit more with them. But Braun Strowman, I just feel that fans would have organically turned on him quicker than they realize, because that's what we do as fans. So why wait for the fans to do it? Do it to the fans so that you have a true heel. Now you got that extra layer of heat. It's not that slow, have to wait 2 months for people to get bored. Just take care of it now. You know what I mean? Like it's like the three-headed monster. Just cut them heads off right now,
And if you're worried about guys like Kevin Owens or Finn Balor or Drew McIntyre not getting an opportunity because we can't move on for Roman Reigns' push or Brock Lesnar's the champion. Just remember, when Braun Strowman wins the title, it's going to be the same thing, too. Because to think that he's going to be a transitional champion, I just don't see it.
And listen, and let's call it like it is. This argument is old as the art form itself, because, you know, and we can go back further, but let's go back to Hogan. The hardcore fan hated him, casual fan loved him. You know, when you had the era of Austin and Rock and Triple H and, you know, and all them guys, I mean, I'll admit that was a little different because you had a couple different. There was never really like that the guy, but I'd still say Austin over any of them. You know, even though The Rock came out the most successful with a Hollywood aspect of it, I still kind of look at Austin as being like the guy. But there was a lot of wrestling fans, like the hardcore fans, that were starting to get tired of Austin. That's why they had to turn him heel for a minute. You know. John Cena, same exact thing. Roman Reigns, same exact. And I'm not saying that one is replacing the other is replacing the other, but guys, you do have to have a top guy. And just like you have to have a top woman, you have to have a top guy. And typically, as wrestling fans, we usually tire of them. But think about how over Cena was, brother, when he was like the Doctor of Economics and all this stuff. And then WrestleMania 22, it's just, we all had our, like, and it was like a breaking point of like, you know what, we're not dealing with John Cena anymore. And it was trivial. And as somebody that for the longest time was bickering about John Cena and realizes how idiotic I am, thank you, Jimmy Jacobs, for opening my eyes to that. You know, I had a conversation with him one night and I was younger and was stupid and was like, I think Cena's terrible. And he was like, well, then you obviously don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And he was right. He was absolutely right. And I think that's the same thing we're going to be saying about Roman Reigns 5 years from now too. It's just that in the moment, people don't like the guy because it's not their guy. When typically our guys inside the wrestling bubble are the ones that are the more riskier characters that they can't attach the stagecoach to, if that makes sense.
What did you think about the Trish Stratus Elias stuff?
I loved it, dude. That's actually, dude, like real quick with Raw, because I know we want to get to our like 5 things that we love, like our quarterly review, if you will. But like, dude, there were so many moments in Raw. One, I love that backstage thing between Corbin and Bobby Lashley. Just the way that the back and forth was so quick and in the moment, like, so I should get out there. I would. Like, just the back and forth was so perfect, man. I look at the Elias Trish Stratus spot with the rest of the women's division. I thought that was awesome. I thought the end with Braun was awesome. I thought that Owens Rollins match was fantastic, dude. Fantastic. There was so much going on. I mean, when the underlying things with what could be going on with the briefcase. What's going on with Dean Ambrose? He seems real upset, and he is the only one in the Shield without a championship. So everyone keeps talking about how we're the workhorses that defend our titles. Where's his title? You know, maybe he gets the briefcase.
How about his backstage thing with Jinder? I thought that was pretty funny.
Oh, it was so good. It was so good. I love the whole Jinder thing. And I think that's a lot of this, Josh, is they're going back and almost hitting reset to where people got hurt. Absolutely, what they did with Jinder last year, I think that now we can see, brother, is because remember, Jinder was doing the whole Shanti thing last year. They got the Indian market television deal or whatever. That's when they turned them. But listen, business is business, and that's why stocks went up as high as they did. So as much as you guys might not have liked Jinder Mahal as champion, it was a fantastic business decision. Like a fantastic business decision. But now they're going right back to what he was before, you know, the Shanti. And it's fun, dude. It's funny. I don't know. I love it.
Don't forget, in the wrestling business, I'm not speaking for us as fans, but in the business, they're all about how you fill seats.
Yeah,
and
right.
make money. That's how the business is structured.
And you know what's crazy, man? I guess I was so disheartened whenever I was, you know, because I'm not, just because we always come on it and like we talk more about what we like rather than what we don't like, doesn't mean I don't think that there's flaws on shows. And I'll admit, this is the first Raw in a long time that I was like, holy shit, I can't wait to watch this the next day with like my daughter goes to bed, we watch it the next day with her. So it's like, I can't wait to watch it like tomorrow with my daughter and with my wife whenever she gets, you know, cause she always falls asleep. Typically she falls asleep during the Roman Reigns segment, and because he usually opens the show, I usually lose her for that, and we catch up the next night over, we have family dinner and watch Raw. So, but that's it was the first week in a while where I was like, I can't wait, cause I can't wait to see how they react to this moment and that moment and this moment. And it was, and the reactions I was expecting, I got. But I understand why people would be upset, because it was almost like the carpet got pulled from underneath us. It's almost like, you know, something that we wanted so bad, you know, because there was a feeling of like Braun could be that next, you know, guy, I guess, you know, there was that feeling. But realistically though, Josh, he's not, Could you see him being babyface long term?
No.
And I am saying that like not to be a smart ass. It's just when you look at Braun, you think, I'm afraid.
Yeah. And I'm not going to say this is demean Braun Strowman as a performer because I think he's good in the ring. For big guy, I think he does good stuff.
I love Braun. I love him.
But there is a Kane, Big Show, Mark Henry dynamic to him. Just looking at how those guys were pushing their careers, and there's room for those guys. That's
Absolutely.
why he's here. That's why you have a Luke Harper. That's why you have guys like that.
Yep.
So
Corbin's really starting to slide into that role really well too.
Yeah,
he is. I mean, I look back at what Triple H said a couple weeks ago, whenever they announced Evolution, and said, this is the best locker room he's seen in a while when it comes to like being on the same team and on the same page. And I think you can really tell that. Not saying there's not competition back there. People want the spot. But I think you're really starting to see people come together and support one another rather than try and go to each other's jugulars. I don't know. Does that make sense, Josh? Does it seem like competitive? Or I'm sorry, like more of like a fun competition versus like cutthroat competition,
Dolph Ziggler said Roman Reigns should not be the guy in the locker room. Well, Dolph Ziggler's been trying to knock John Cena off the peg while he was in the company too. So it's not a revelation.
No, my uncle once told me if man had nuts, she'd be my uncle, and he wasn't wrong there either. But it's just sometimes you don't talk about things like that in
public. Really quick SmackDown, because I know we want to get to this list really quick. SmackDown. Really enjoyed the tag team match they had. They have this new system now where they're just doing multiple matches to set up number one contender matches. So it's kind of hard for me to structure out for my article to type of, is this a number one qualifiers match? Should I just say triple threat match for now, and then next week will be the number one contenders match? But the Bar, the Good Brothers and the Colognes, good to see my fellow Puerto Rican brothers get back on TV. Those guys have bad luck with injuries, man. That just sucks.
I'm just so happy they're not selling timeshares anymore.
Yes,
I'm so happy. I got to admit, since I always got to be the one to say it, I'll be the one to say it. I know on my controller I can hit a button and it's in Espanol. I want a button where it's in New Day. I want the New Day as an option when I'm going through because you got them at the end. You got their own announce table. Why can't I get the alternate audio? I need it. I needed Woods in my life. I needed Kofi and Big E in my life right there.
It was nice to see King Booker and his royalty on the show as well. That was tremendous. That
was so funny. It was a great segment.
Why do I don't get a royal name?
Because you're Big E. I like when he was trying to do the spin Rooney and they just spun him around. Real quick.
Did you see that movie at night with Martin Lawrence?
No, probably. Oh, you mean First Night? Was it First Night or whatever?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, no, I wasn't doing Martin Lawrence and Chainmail. I like him. I was more in a run tell that than I was. I could see him.
The reason I'm bringing up Martin Lawrence is because he is part of like a Roman, like Braveheart type of, gladiator type of thing, and that's how it was with the New Day. They're getting crowned masters. They're part of the Fight Time Club, 5-time Champions Club. So
which is funny, and it's such a Saturday Night Live ripoff too.
Yeah, it was
That's
good.
such an SNL thing, and everybody knows. Everybody that's a fan of, and I know I always compare WWE's product to SNL, but guys, it's variety vaudeville. It really is, and there's a synergy. They're both NBC Universal. They know what they're doing. That's why. Did you ever see where John Cena was subtly a security guard on SNL? Like he wasn't a guest, he wasn't announced. It was just he was random security somewhere, and people were like, "What? Wait, that's John Cena," and then they never even mentioned he was on a show.
Let me say this really quick. I want to thank the wrestling gods because angry Becky Lynch, Mamma Mia, man,
so good.
Like you guys know my feelings on Alexa Bliss and how much I enjoy her character, but I haven't enjoyed a female character like this since Mickie James in her feud with Trish Stratus.
Ooh.
So
okay.
Becky is killing it on all cylinders right now. Looks, heel dynamic, whatever you want to call it, she's just fucking killing it right now.
I can't disagree with you more. I think coming out of SummerSlam, she's benefited absolutely the most.
Again, I don't know why Carmella doesn't get the credit she deserves. I know it was a rematch and stuff. She had a rematch clause, but you gonna tell me that match wasn't good on Tuesday?
Yeah, I thought it was an excellent match.
And then I want to give props to Ms. Maurice. Those old school I'm awesome t-shirts. Since it is Throwback Thursday as we're recording this right now, those t-shirts were awesome.
The ones leading up to WrestleMania 27. These are the 2010 editions, baby. I'm sorry, 2010 or 2011? 2011, I'm sorry. 2011. Yeah. That's when
they played out perfectly, and they had some good juju for Almas and Selena Vega.
Dude, I'm loving, and it's funny because when Sam and I first started doing this, we were told that we had to portray ourselves as being single. We could never portray ourselves as being a couple because it would ruin us and blah, blah, blah. And that's when just WWE just let the doors open and was like, hey, everyone's dating each other and they're married and we're going to show you all guys all this stuff. So it was like, really? You know what I mean? But to Vince Russo's credit though, listen, everyone knocks him. Russo told Sam and I we should have went with that angle. We pitched it to him and he was like, that's awesome. You guys absolutely should be like the first lady or whatever of the first family of like the IWC, quote unquote. But we were told not to by some other parties. So, c'est la vie. But, I want to spin off into your Mickie James thing because coming up on, and dude, and I totally agree with you when it comes to Becky. That's why I really don't need to sprinkle anything on top of that. I also agree with Alexa. I think she does good work. And it's funny because Becky nor Alexa actually, I don't know who my favorite, female talent is right now. There's so many good women. It's, hard to iron out. I'm a Rollins guy. I'll be a Rollins guy. That's my dude. But I don't know. The entire division. We'll get to that. But
I'm an Owens guy, but Becky's my number one right now.
So, let me throw this in there. So we haven't. I thought this wasn't going to happen until Evolution or closer to Evolution, but Mickie James made her return this week, and I was going to bring it up to you, brother. This was actually it was written down. So when is Mickie James coming back? Before or after, or before Evolution or at Evolution? And since she's already out, I had to change it to, hey, how does Mickie James play into Alexa Bliss and Trish at Evolution? Because this is obviously, I don't necessarily know if I'm fully buying she's on Alexa Bliss's side with this.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if they could make it a triple threat thing because I don't know. It'd be a little different. The only thing would be different, if it changed to a tag team match and it was Trish and Lita against Alexa and Mickie. That's the only way different I can see it. But I think Alexa Trish 1-on-1 is fine on its own merit. So
right, but that doesn't mean there isn't room for a run-in.
Oh, that's true. But for me, I hate saying it, but for selfish reasons, for Mickie being my all-time favorite female wrestler, I would like to see her have a match on that pay-per-view than just being at ringside.
I still think she will because I almost feel like there's I don't know. I feel like they're going to have a 5-on-5 kind of match. You know what I mean? I feel like there's going to be a team this person, team that person, and we'll figure that out as we get closer, to it. But I really do think they're going to try and get as many women on the card as possible, and they should. So I think we'll see her. But dude, I don't know. Let me just pitch this to you. Don't you think it would be awesome if you saw Mickie James run out and it looks like she's about to she's really about to screw over Trish, and then she plants Alexa, and then Trish gets the win, and then it's like a reunion. I don't know. I think there'd be something. There'd be something to that, man. I don't know. But
cool.
I'm just fantasy booking.
Actually booking. That's a good one. I know a lot of people pump the Sasha Banks Bayley NXT Brooklyn match is one of the best women matches of all time, and I'm not disagreeing with that. But for me, and I think you agree with this for seeing this in person, the atmosphere during the Trish Stratus Mickie James WrestleMania 22 match was something really, really special.
Yeah,
and I thought
awesome.
What she did in the ring was as good as Sasha and Bayley.
No, it was awesome. Listen, I was there too, so it was everything was kind of magical that night. That crowd was pretty wild. They made sure that everything was going to be good at WrestleMania 22. But listen, I think that I said it last week. I mean, it's and I'm glad Alexa Bliss brought it up on TV this week. I really do think she is just a modern day Trish Stratus, and I think that I do think that this match does make the most sense out of anybody. And you know what? And for everybody that wants to complain about Alexa, it takes her out of the title picture too. Because I don't think they're going to go that route. You know.
I don't either.
So.
As we wrap up with this, I would say everybody that's trying to figure out what's going on with the pay-per-views, we have 6 matches announced so far for Hell in a Cell. I guess Samoa Joe's taking a trip to Gainesville, Georgia next week, so that should be interesting. Jeez, man, they're going personal, and it fits the pay-per-view. Grudge, personal rivalries. Samoa Joe and AJ are going to kill it, so cool on them. I feel that we need maybe 2 or 3 stretches for Jeff Hardy since he's going in a Hell in a Cell match with Randy Orton. That's the only reason why he's still around. I remember Jeff Hardy saying in interviews he wants to have a Hell in a Cell match and do a dive off the stage before he retires. So him going against Randy Orton.
I don't want to see him die on TV, man. I don't want this to happen. I don't know if this is a good idea.
I don't want to see him die either, but
I don't know how much.
This is a good send-off for him because Randy Orton's one of his greatest rivals besides CM Punk, and they're in the Hell in a Cell match. I know people are kind of sour to Jeff Hardy push and they want to see him to slow down and stuff. They don't want to see him. I understand where people are coming from, but don't tell me they're not going to pop for that spot, though.
Oh, and listen, it'll be a good match in a cage, man. You know, I mean, that's one that this match is definitely going to be something that it's going to be interesting because sadistic Randy Orton versus kind of like halfway Willow-esque, but not quite really fully there. You know, Jeff Hardy is they could tell a really fun story in there. I think they probably get a little Crimson going in this. You know, if there is a match where somebody accidentally gets busted open, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Maybe this probably happens. Yeah, man, but if this is, I didn't know anything about all of his injuries or anything like that. I knew more about Matt's injuries, than I did about Jeff's. So, you know, I just think, Jesus, if that's the spot he's been waiting for, holy cow, I mean, that dude's got some stones, man. I give him credit.
What was I going to say? I bet you next week there's a saved tweet right there saying worst Raw of all time because what's coming up on Monday? Labor Day. And we'll see what happened on that show.
Well, you know what? In Labor Day, and here's the one thing, and this is what sucks about, like, if you've watched this long enough, you should realize that the Labor Day show, number one, some talent isn't going to be there because it's a holiday. Number two, they're absolutely not going to give you, like, because they know people are at cookouts. You know, we're going to have maybe 2 important moments to come out of it because it's a holiday show. And when people are going to complain and bitch and moan and whatever, but I'll ask, would you rather it not have no Monday Night Raw? Would you rather them skip holidays? Would you rather them have a repeat that day? Or would you rather have a show where it kind of feels like a house show? And I mean, we're probably going to have one that kind of feels like a house show. But that, if you know that going in, the show's going to be better than what you expected. You know what I mean? Like, we have to start to understand what we're getting from the product and at least notice patterns. You know what I mean? Like, this is a pattern that always happens. Like, so, I don't know. And you have to remember, too, when it is on a holiday, typically you'll get more families in attendance, too. So they'll placate to more of a variety of audiences versus when they're in a Chicago or a Philly or wherever when it comes to like your hardcore fan base and stuff.
This is a good transition for our new segment on the podcast. Last week we had the Yacht Club as the intro. Hopefully you guys weren't too flabbergasted and your IQs were that messed up listening to that last week, but This segment is a little different. We previewed it earlier in the show. This is going to be the top 5 things WWE is doing right now. So you can put 5 things, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, 205 Live, anything WWE related that you like right now. you could hit us up on Twitter at Notorious Joshi, at Peaky Vice, or on the YouTube channel right now in the comment section as well. Let us know, what are you enjoying right now?
Yeah,
I know it's a simple question. I know people have issues with simple questions, but what are you enjoying
look at it
about
this way.
WWE right now?
It's almost like a quarterly review, even though we're going to have 5 of them, so we'll split it up into like what pentuplet reviews, I guess. Is that 5, right? Pentuplet or no? I'm totally fine.
Somewhere around there.
Who cares? Divide by 5. There you go. But no, so what we're going to do is we're going to go back from Money in the Bank till now. Who or what have you enjoyed most? So whether it's storylines, a certain character, a certain personality, is it a certain, whatever you think that they're doing right, what you've really been looking forward to on Raw or SmackDown, or NXT, anything under the WWE umbrella, because, it's easy to pick on a product. It's easy to call out everyone's flaws. Nobody ever really talks about what's being done right. So for the past couple months, we're really talking about the summer months here, June, July, and August. We're going to give out and this is just personal opinion. It doesn't mean anything. We're not basing this off of anything other than what we've enjoyed over the past couple months. So, Josh, go ahead, brother.
I'm going to start. We'll go 5 to 1 in this order, okay? Do you want to go back and forth or just say all of it?
Go ahead. You know what? We'll just list them all. List yours off and I'll list mine off.
Okay. Number 5, I'm going to go with Paige. In general, and what she's doing as a general manager right now. I think she's one of the best authority figures I've seen in the last couple years, and she's awesome. Everybody knows my love for Paige. She's great. It's just a cool, fun dynamic on the show. I mean, even on Tuesday, she's feel like she's tired. She's like, I had to run from the office just to make sure I got to stage to announce the match.
I'd love to know what happened there. Yeah.
Dave Bryan's like, well, when I was a manager, I just announced the match. And here we go.
Kudos to him for playing it off pretty well too.
Yeah. Number 4, believe it or not, it's actually the TV booking of Raw and how they structure different matches and the crowd reactions from these certain Raws. Because a lot of times over the last couple of years, you would have Raws where fans are sitting on their hands. And whether you have a hot opening segment or not, you have a couple of matches in the first hour of the show where people are just super invested, like, this is awesome, and yada, yada, yada. I have to give props to guys like Finn Balor, to Seth Rollins, to Roman, to Drew McIntyre, Revival, some other different acts, whether it's a tag team match or not. These guys have been killing it as far as television-wise wrestling each week, and especially for Raw. I know it's a 3-hour show. I don't watch it for 3 hours. Maybe you do.
I don't watch it for 3 hours.
But I feel like when I transcribe the show back, I have fun with it. And I think the structure of how they're timing out the television show for Raw has been good for the last couple of months. So that's my opinion. Number 3, I'm going to go with a little kerfuffle here. The New Day. They've been killing it on SmackDown. Just the matches they've had on pay-per-views, the comedy segments, the pancakes, which brings the dynamic of Corey Graves and Byron Saxton, which was another part of the show I really enjoy. So New Day will be on the list. Number 2 is 205 Live. I promote it each week, and just the show in general has been phenomenal. If you're an in-ring geek like I am and love hardcore in-ring matches, not weapons, but just good technical wrestling, check it out. They even had 205 chants on this week's episode. Who would ever thought you'd hear 205 chants?
We love to chant, don't we?
Yep. So, Buddy Murphy, Kalisto, Mustafa Ali, Hideo Itami, Cedric Alexander, Drew Gulak, D. Brian Kendrick, the Lucha House Party. Nigel McGuinness is killing it on commentary on 205 Live. I love that guy. I actually got to interview him before. You guys can check that out on the YouTube channel, by the way. Very cool dude. 205 Live is my number 2. And finally, number 1 was SummerSlam. I thought it was one of the better SummerSlams I've seen in the last couple years. So my number 1 will be SummerSlam, the pay-per-view in general.
Nice. Okay. I like that. SummerSlam, I like SummerSlam. I thought a lot came out of it too. And now a couple weeks removed from SummerSlam, I think we've seen a lot of the whys and the rhyme and reason to a lot of what was done. All right, so we're going to count it down from 5 to 1. I liked your list, brother. I liked your list. So real quick, let's count that down again. From 5 to 1, rip through it without, number 5 was?
Paige as the general manager on Raw.
Love it. Number 4?
No, my bad. General manager of SmackDown.
Yeah,
so bad. So, okay.
Listen, I opened a football podcast last week by saying, hey, wrestling fans, and didn't realize if I listened to it back. So, have it.
Number 4, the TV structure of Monday Night Raw.
I like that. That's something that you probably won't hear on other podcasts.
3, the New Day. What they've been doing on SmackDown. Number 2, 205 Live, and number 1, SummerSlam, the pay-per-view. Nice. Okay. All right, now here's where I am at with mine. It's funny because I wanted to make sure that in this is to show how fair and with all this is. I'm going to start at number 5 and say I've loved what they've done with the Money in the Bank briefcases. Plural. Number 1, I don't want to sound like the guy that said I told you so, but I was saying 2 months before that one of those cases wasn't leaving Chicago, and I was right. And it was the right call. It was the right move. It was everything that we said it was going to be, and I think that they did a good thing with that. Now, what's going on with Braun's briefcase or whomever's briefcase is just sitting there? That's why I actually, Josh, it's funny because we were talking about how I don't like when people wrestle, it's like person versus person for the Money in the Bank briefcase. See, yeah. and how I said, well, I'll go into it open-minded. Now I'm spinning off on it where it's like, you know what, I do kind of like it because they're not, it's something different. Everyone keeps complaining, well, I don't want Braun to come down and tell you that he's cashing in. Well, okay. Because that's been done before. I don't want him to do this because that's been done before. I don't want him to do it that way because that's been done before. This is something totally new. We thought that we know how it's being done, but I feel like they're pulling the wool over our eyes a little bit with this. Until proven wrong, I will not meet in the middle on this one, that there isn't something going on with that briefcase, and that technically it is not Braun Strowman's anymore, that he just gave it up. That's where I'm at with that. So right now I've been having a hell of a lot of fun kind of watching what they've been doing with the Money in the Bank briefcases. Number 4, I'm going to go with my man Seth Rollins. Dude, it's week after week after week after week. This man is just putting on show after show after show. He's been working with great talents, so it's been helping out. But Rollins right now, maybe it's a homer pick for me, but I triple dog dare any of you to debate that he hasn't been one of the top 5 parts of WWE programming from Money in the Bank till now. So at number 3, I hope everybody's sitting down. I'm going with the former self-appointed constable of Monday Night Raw, the acting general manager of Monday Night Raw, right? It's general manager, right? That's what he's doing. Mm-hmm. Mr. Baron Corbin. On a week-to-week basis, I am falling in love with his character more and more and more and more. And it did. It really all started right after Mania and everything. I was like, holy shit! Like they were starting to tweak him a little. And dude, I don't think he's ever looked more comfortable on a WWE TV. I honestly don't. And maybe that's just whatever. But I am every week. I'm looking forward to just the little backstage segments too that he really wasn't connecting with on SmackDown early on in his career or wherever. But like now he's, like I said, his timing with Lashley the other night was so fucking good, man. Like so. I've been looking forward to Corbin every week. I'm going to put reluctantly, but for a good reason, I'm putting the great Corey Graves at number 2. Probably the only time you're ever going to hear that. But I'm putting him at number 2 because, obviously, listen, I think that right now, again, I know people like the bash commentary because of this, because of that. There's just something special with Corey Graves. When you really pay attention, the little things that he throws in there, the little references that and it goes, and it's not just things that you and I pick up on, Josh. It's like this man is putting stuff out there. He is a jack of all trades. He is an entertainer to the core. It sucks that he can't. I hope it eventually gets to a day where he can get back in the ring maybe for one match, but but if for nothing else right now, I really hope that we appreciate, and you guys appreciate, Corey Graves, and we should, because I don't know. To me, I do. I know I make the comparison, and I know there's a lot of old heads that are saying, wait a minute, a lot of people, and I understand that.
I'm just saying early on in his career, you know, if he keeps getting better and better, which I don't see why he wouldn't. He's from Pittsburgh. He's going to go down as one of the greats, and he's going to go down as the voice of this generation regardless. So, in the past 3 months, I think he's been fantastic anyway. So, but for me, the number one reason to watch Raw or SmackDown or NXT or anything like that under the WWE umbrella over the past 3 months for me has been the women's division, man. Just the women's division as a whole. When you look at starting at Money in the Bank, going with the same night cash in that night, Ronda Rousey in her first championship match, you know, you get the crowd on a fever pitch, the internet split on it, you did your job there. And then, you know, going forward with that, you announced Evolution, you announced Becky Lynch's recent character change. The Riot Squad's still back in full effect. You got a great storyline with Becky and Sasha still kind of going on. There's so much good going on in the women's division right now that I'm following the women's division more than I'm following the men's division. And that for me right now, man, is I didn't want to take anybody singularly out of there. And so it was just a great layering of right now for me, this summer to me was all about women's wrestling and where the women's division is going. And, it's been fucking fun, man. I thought these past couple months have been great. I thought they've been great. I'd give it a 5 stars. No.
To have somebody like Alexa Bliss steal the show at Money in the Bank like that in a Chicago crowd, that just shows how good a performer
with Ronda Rousey on that card, and with some of the other matches that were on that card. Absolutely.
So let's refresh your list.
And we left off Elias. I don't want to listen. Elias is on
honorable mention. Elias.
No, it's not honorable mention. It's just it'd be unfair to everybody else if we put Elias on this list because we're all walking with Elias, So he's the exception.
I have an honorable mention, and that was spending Money in the Bank weekend with you guys. So that's my honorable mention.
It was a blast. It was definitely chaotic on my end when it came to it, but it was absolutely worth it. Now I just need an actual vacation.
Speaking of Chicago and wrestling events, let's wrap the show up today. We'll talk a little bit about All In. All In brought to you by Cracker Barrel, Hot Topic, Pro Wrestling Tees, and TGI Fridays. The Sears Center at Hoffman Estates, Illinois, the last wrestling show at Hoffman Estates at the Sears Center Arena was a live edition of Impact Wrestling where Hulk Hogan was feuding with Bully Ray as the Aces and Eights were fully revealed. So
no, they weren't. Not in my memory.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I think you're in for a better show, hopefully, this Saturday. It is Saturday, September 1st. It's going to be a fun show. All In, Chicago, Illinois. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody going out to StarCast. Big time for independent wrestling fans and just the professional wrestling business in general. It's going to be a fun weekend. I am transcribing the event this Saturday for ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. I want to go over some of the matches with the good brother here and just get his thoughts on the event as a whole. So, we'll start from here. Let's talk. It's pretty interesting how they're setting this up because they have All In 0 Hour, which is going to be on WGN. WGN America, by the way, for those who still have WGN on your cable platform. So you guys could watch it. That's the pre-show going into All In. And they have the Over the Budget Battle Royal. You have Jordan Grace, very talented female wrestler. I saw her in AEW. Moose, Rocky Romero, Cole Cabana, Chicago's own. Very cool to see him on the show. Ethan Page, Brian Cage. That guy has deltoids on top of deltoids on top of deltoids. I mentioned that before with Bobby Lashley. If you look at Brian Cage, that dude's just ripped in general. Billy Gunn, Jimmy Jacobs, as you were mentioning earlier, brother. Marco Stunt, the guy who's stolen the Joey Janela's wrestling show a couple weeks ago, actually. Brandon Cutler, I don't know who that is, and Punishment Martinez from Ring of Honor. So that's who's in the Over the Budget Battle Royal. So basically, whoever wins this Battle Royal gets a Ring of Honor World Title shot on the show. So I think that's pretty cool. So whoever wins this match goes against Jay Lethal in the show. I'm going with Colt Cabana because if you look at it, Colt Cabana and Jay Lethal had a Ring of Honor World Title match in Chicago a couple years ago, and that's when Adam Cole joined the Young Bucks in the Bullet Club. So I think they may want to bring that back for Ring of Honor purposes. So I got Colt Cabana actually winning the Battle Royal as a cheap pop for the Chicago crowd.
Yeah, because he's Chicago's homeboy now, isn't he?
At this point, yes.
That's what I'm noticing. Yeah, I mean that seems like the right move. Absolutely. Now I'll admit though, man, and we talked about this before the show, and it's like, listen, like no, KO isn't going to be there. I'm not going to lie, brother. It did cross my mind, and I'm only saying that in a way that business is business is business. I mean, Vince used to do business with ECW, and people didn't realize that he was doing business with ECW. So I could see this as being a little one-off to kind of, because I don't know, maybe not, but I think I see some people probably coming to WWE next year, and it could be a good little, not that it's necessary, but it could be a good pop. It could be a good. I do feel like that show needs like an old school kind of, not comeback type guy, but in a way, I think that they were hoping it was going to be Punk, but obviously it just shouldn't be right now because the entire wrestling community is kind of soured on him. So, Owens would probably blow the roof off of that place and still be on Raw 2 weeks later, and it just be one giant work on everybody. So, if the money was right, dude, it could be. It would just have to be money and that kind of stuff. So.
Everything that's come with all in has had to do with good publicity and PR stuff on social media. And as big as CM Punk fan I am, he's number one to me. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if he's gonna garner that same excitement, I guess, as it was a couple of months ago where people were hyping it up. They're like, "Oh, this is the game-changing moment. CM Punk arrives," and everybody's, "Oh my god, watch out!" But
I actually think more people would be. Oh man, no. This is cool to say. I think more people are more excited and more interested and hoping that AJ Lee shows up at Evolution than CM Punk showing up at a wrestling show. I do. I actually think there's more buzz about hopefully AJ Lee showing up versus Punk somewhere. And isn't that interesting, huh?
And hopefully she does show up.
It'd be awesome. Oh my god, it'd be so awesome.
The other pre-match show is the Briscoe brothers taking on one of my favorite tag teams right now, SoCal Uncensored. They just did a vignette recently on Being the Elite, where they ran up the Rocky Steps in Philadelphia, and in pure fashion in Scorpio Sky, he's like, "This is the worst town I have ever been in." SoCal Uncensored, I'm bowing down to you right now. You guys are tremendous. I love what you guys do with your gimmick right now.
Dude, and listen, I've been to Philly. I'm trying to think of a place we used to always go. It's probably better that I don't remember the name because anybody that lives in Philly is instantly going to know what I'm talking about. It's one of because all my Philly buddies, because there's nothing else to do in Philly. Anytime we go up there, we'd have to go to a strip club. It's like, yo, don't you got anything else to do? No, we gotta go to a strip club. Like, no, I don't want to. I don't want to hand out money to do that at home. But no, Philly is probably the worst fucking place. It's the worst city I've ever been in. No. It has to be. No, it's Philly Philly sucks, but so does Pittsburgh, so.
Yeah. Shout out to my buddy Sam Pioppo. Hashtag Philly is trash. Okay. Let's get into the other matches on the show. Here's a match I'm looking forward to. Okada against Marty Scurll. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You can't have a wrestling show without a Chicago street fight. So we have, believe it or not, folks, it's not just WWE who has Chicago street fights. Joey Janela against Hangman Page. That one's going to be wild. I haven't seen Joey Janela wrestle. I know who he is. I know he has a following. I just haven't seen him wrestle before, so don't kill me, guys. I know who he is, though. Hangman Page is very good. He had a very good performance in the G1 Climax tournament this year. Okada and Marty Scurll that's going to be a fun-ass match. Christopher Daniels is taking on Stephen Amell. That's going to be a spotlight match. This is Stephen Amell's third wrestling match ever, and he's been training a lot. So I think maybe this could steal the show. You never know what to expect from Stephen Amell. This is kind of different expectations than it was when he wrestled at SummerSlam a few years ago. So I'm interested. I've always been a Christopher Daniels guy, another guy I got to interview. He used to live in Chicago, so I think this is going to be a very important show and match for him as well, as a guy who actually used to live in the city as well. Madison Rayne against Britt Baker versus Chelsea Green, Zack Ryder's girlfriend, and Tessa Blanchard in a fatal four-way match. This is the women's match on the show. No titles on the line, but that's going to be a lot of fun too. One of the big spotlight matches, Kenny Omega against Pentagon Jr. That match is going to be wild. Anybody that knows my work with Lucha Underground and stuff knows how big of a Pentagon Jr. fan I am. That guy's a beast. So him and Kenny Omega, they're going to tear the shit up.
Yeah, absolutely. We're actually thinking about shelling out the $35 for the pay-per-view. And it's weird to say, shelling out the $35 when we used to pay like $60 per for a WWE pay-per-view, you know? So, and you know, and a lot of it is, we were kind of on the fence about buying it. You know, financially right now, it's not necessarily in the budget, but I'm not gonna lie, man, for how hard these men and women worked, especially Cody, the Bucks, you know, everyone who was really, really involved with this, I want to give them my money. You know, I think that they absolutely earned that $34.99 on pay-per-view or whatever the hell it's going to be. You know, it's absolutely, they're going to get our money, because this is something that, you know, we always talk about how, we want this, we want that, we want this, but nobody ever puts their money where their mouth is. And unfortunately in this world, man, money's what talks, not, you know, talk is cheap. You know, peace sells, but who's buying, man? Let's go back to the media earlier. You know, and that's a shout out to Corey Graves too, because he uses that reference a lot. Peace sells, but who's buying? So, you know, at the end of the day, you know, we want things like this. We do have to invest some money into it. So I'm absolutely going to buy the pay-per-view and, you know, take care of the men and women on that show. And you know, I think it's going to be a fun show to watch with my daughter too. I don't necessarily know if I would have taken her to All In, because it's going to be a little bit more of a hardcore, passionate kind of, you know, Money in the Bank was intense, you know, but, I just think that this would probably be that, you know, a couple years yet before we can get her into something like this. But from home, not a problem. You know what I mean? It's a lot different. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to this weekend, man. It's a nice little kind of toss in there for Labor Day weekend event.
I can't wait to hear the stories about the idiots that either get kicked out of StarCast or the All In show. Just like wherever hopefully nothing bad happens, but you always have Nimrods that go to these type of conventions and stuff, so you get a good chuckle out of it.
There's always going to be one, man. There's always one.
I mentioned the ROH title match earlier, but that's not the only title match on the show. We got Nick Aldis defending the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship against Cody Rhodes. That's going to be a lot of fun. Everybody knows how much the NWA means to the Rhodes family. It's very cool. Anybody that's watched their little series where they've been building up this match with Cody Rhodes and Nick Aldis on the NWA channel, it's been very good. I want to give shout out to Dave Lagana, because he's been producing a lot of that stuff that's going on, and hearing stuff from Billy Corrigan as well. It's some good shit. So I'm looking forward to this match. I felt Magnus, Nick Aldis, whatever you want to call him, always been an underrated wrestler and a performer. I love Cody Rhodes. You love Cody Rhodes, Adam. You mentioned that before.
My wife certainly loves Cody Rhodes.
Yep. So we're getting something for everybody. So it's going to be a cool match. I do think Cody will become the NWA champion, actually.
It's going to be fun. I'm really interested to see how it all plays out. And I don't want to give any predictions, because I'll admit I haven't been up on any of the storylines. So anything that comes out of my mouth is going to sound like a talking head on any of the news shows that any of these people watch. You know what I mean? So like, it'll be totally convoluted and wouldn't make sense. But you know what though, brother? I like going into this show, I guess, with blinders on. Because sometimes it is fun going into a product. Like, you kind of keep an eye out from afar. Obviously, I know the players. I know what's going on. I just don't know the storylines as they're going in. So, it's going to be a fun watch.
I'm going to run over some of the on-air talent that are going to be on this show before we get to the main event really quick, for those who are wondering. Referees. This is a funny list. Earl Hebner, Jerry Lynn, Paul Turner, Rick Knox, and Todd Sinclair from Ring of Honor. Interviewers. a friend of mine, Alicia, too, who works for Impact Wrestling. Very talented girl. It's kind of interesting seeing a girl my age having all that national exposure and all the interviews she does. That girl works hard, man. I'll tell you that. She's very, very talented.
Right.
Sean Mooney, the old school interviewer. He's going to be doing interviews. Yeah, how about that? Ring announcers. This one's pretty cool for me. Justin Roberts, another Chicago guy. He's going to be doing ring announcing during the show. I haven't seen him do a wrestling show in a while, so that'd be cool. I
like Justin Roberts.
Bobby Cruz from Ring of Honor, very talented ring announcer as well. He's going to be doing that as well. And then the play-by-play people, for those who are wondering who's actually doing commentary on this show, we have Ring of Honor's lead play-by-play guy, Ian Riccaboni, on the show. You have Excalibur from PWG. I feel ashamed for saying this, but I never actually had a chance to watch a PWG show or transcribe it. I know how good PWG is because everybody talks about it, but as you know, brother, 168 hours in a week. This brother doesn't have the time for it, unfortunately. But it's going to be him, Excalibur, and Don Callis from New Japan. So that's going to be an interesting commentary team as well. So that's the on-air staff for Ring of Honor. This will be on pay-per-view, like I mentioned earlier. By the way, it's kind of funny. The Young Bucks' dad, Papa Buck, is a musician, and he writes some of their songs. It's pretty cool. That guy's pretty funny. Pretty cool guy. And then the main event of the show, we got Rey Mysterio and Phoenix. Phoenix, very talented guy, and Bandito from AAA. They're taking on the Golden Elite. No, Kenny Omega's not wrestling 2 matches, but it's the Young Bucks and Kota Ibushi. So you got Ibushi and Rey Mysterio in the ring at the same time, and Phoenix. This match is going to be wild. I'm glad this is the main event. This match is going to be insane. So that's all I have for right now as far as information for All In. Everybody's wondering what's going to be a surprise. Is it going to be Jericho? Is it going to be Neville? Is it going to be somebody else? I don't know. All I know is I'm all in. Adam, I know you're all in.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Ladies and gentlemen, are you all in? That's the question. I'm very excited for the show. I'm happy for the city that they're getting this amount of spotlight with the StarCast convention and this pay-per-view going on Saturday night. It's something fun to do on the weekend. I'm not. It's kind of interesting. I'm kind of indifferent to certain holidays. I don't know. That's maybe just a reflection on me. I don't get giddy about Labor Day weekend. Like, the only time I ever felt feelings about Labor Day weekend would be like, oh shit, I got school on Monday. I don't have to worry about that anymore. So Labor Day, it goes to the back burner as far as importance. But ladies and gentlemen,
real quick, you ain't wrapping this show up yet.
No, I was wrapping this show All In.
Oh, okay. Oh, for All In. Oh, okay,
yeah.
I was going to say, not today. You ain't wrapping this up yet.
Go ahead, bro. What do you guys say?
Listen, I mean, this is what else wrestling wise do you have on the platter, so to speak?
I wanted to ask you really quick. What do you feel about like the constant thing with Twitter where people bring up bad information from other wrestlers in the past and this and that? Because I saw something with Vince Russo and Ryan Satin where Ryan Satin's going to like different sponsors and saying, "Oh, Vince Russo said this, so you should."
Why is he doing that again? What is with that dude? And I don't get that dude. And I don't whatever. I always say this. Listen, people can say what they want about Vince Russo. I get it. He's a polarizing dude, but I met him. When I met him, he was treated me like an equal, treated me like a human being, and that's why I don't say anything bad about him. I did for a while because the network wanted me to that I was on. I refuse to do so now though because it's where we get looped in these things where we want to follow the masses instead of actually looking back. And I really don't care what people think about Vince Russo. He treated me well. He treated my wife well. And to me, that's all that matters, you know. And I don't understand what this Ryan Satin dude. I don't understand what his end game constantly is like going after. I don't know him, you know, from whoever. And I'm certainly a nobody in this game, but I don't get it, man. I can pull up old stuff that would completely tear down a certain network that I used to be on. I have an old recording that wasn't released because somebody got a little too drunk, not me, that would tear that entire operation to the ground. I choose not to release it.
Right.
So,
and I wasn't bringing this up to for something to bash Vince Russo. I just don't get the whole thing. People are bringing old stuff just to bring other people down.
No, dude, I totally agree with you because I think we're at a point now where, and you know what, man, Sam actually was. I want to give my wife a lot of credit for this one. She's the first one that, whenever the Me Too movement kind of started, and it was like, and I'm not knocking the Me Too movement, guys. Please don't stretch that, but.
What about the My Truth movement?
She looked at me for a second and she was like, "This is going to get dangerous." And I was like, "What do you mean?" She was like, "I'm just saying, this is just good. This is going to get. There's going to be casualties that aren't, basically saying it was going to get totally out of control, kind of like it did,
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, I think it in a way, it's a similar premise.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what do you think, man?
I just think it's unfortunate. I don't know what that guy's trying to get out of it. Okay, so you decided that you didn't want to resign for TMZ because you're the almighty Ryan saying you deserve more money, but your new gig is just to fall down the Dave Meltzer status quo.
Wait, didn't that dude allege that allegedly people were like threatening his girlfriend or something? Allegedly, like,
yeah. Well,
and then they said, "Where's the proof?" And they're like, "Oh, I don't know. We'll talk to our lawyers or whatever." This is so it's so juvenile. I don't even want to give this dude attention. But you're right though. You're absolutely. I think we're in a dangerous spot where people going down people's Twitter handles to look up shit from like 5-10 years ago. It's. I don't know, man. I just don't think this is what I mean. Where we were kind of talking about, where it's going to get to a point where we all walk away from social media because you can't tell a joke. I can't, and that's exactly why I close myself off from the world when it comes to social media, because if I go on there and tell a joke, I don't want somebody 5 years from now pulling that joke out 10 years from now saying, "Hey, you told this joke. I don't find it funny." It's like, well, 10 years ago, unfortunately, it was funny. And and that's the thing, Josh, is like, in a way, we're supposed to use these moments to realize how far we've come, how far because that's that's why we have freedom of speech, so that we know when we've gone too far, so we can reel ourselves back in. But the constant over PCing everybody and saying this and that and people going after people's career, this is so stupid, man. This is where I fear, because while I agree people are way too loose with their words, at the same time, they are just words. We have to go back to the middle again. The 10% on each side is fucking it up for the 80% of us that are all in the middle.
And I don't know why people are looking into other people's likes on their pages.
Because people are bored and they don't like their own lives. They're bored, and so they have to go into other people's lives. That's all that is. I don't even have enough time in my day to fucking go on my own social medias to talk to the 4 people I talk to, let alone stalk other people's and see what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like I can't. I don't know. We're in a strange place when it comes to the world. So to answer your question, man, I think that it's unnecessary. I think if we could go back and listen, and we're probably all guilty of it in a certain degree. I was one of the first people that said, I don't know if ABC should give Roseanne a show back, not because I have anything against her, but it was going to be a PR nightmare. And it ended up being a PR nightmare, and it had nothing to do with her, and I couldn't have given a shit less about, her show, whether it stayed on or not, but it's easy to pull up a picture of her from 9 years ago of her dressed up like Hitler baking Jews. Like, that's not fucking funny to anybody. You know what I mean? And that's not even what got her canned. So think about that, guys. They knew about that, still gave her a show. It's just the dice that you roll. But again, is it right? Is it wrong? I don't know. I just think that's to show at least, like, okay, listen, that could have been a good tool to say, hey, don't do anything like this again. Don't do this. Like, we saw it. Maybe it wasn't, people hardly got offended. Some people probably laughed. Some people probably got offended, whatever. Just don't do it anymore. That's what we need to use these things from, but to go through, like you said, man, to try and, to pull quotes out and to try and put wrestler versus wrestler, entertainer versus entertainer, or even director and politician and actor, and it's getting convoluted, man. It's getting bad. We've all told jokes or all said shit that if some other people heard us, I love that everybody has this holier than thou complex. They think that they're infallible. But
I want to wrap this up on a positive note. I want you to.
We're going to.
Yeah, I want you to talk about the Muse song we were listening to earlier.
Well, good brother Josh. It seems as though there's been some big announcements today, and as exciting as wrestling's been this week, and as excited as I was to talk about it, instead of bringing in random jokes about everything else for a change. News broke today that just made me say, I almost ripped the whole script up, but I'd save it for the end. Muse announced their new album, November 9th. Some of you probably don't care, some of you probably care. I don't give a shit. It's damn important to me. Released a new single called The Dark Side today. It's fucking fantastic. Video, again, my wife picked up on it right away. It absolutely looks like the old Tron movie. Super cool. It's been kind of tying in with all the other videos that they've been slowly leaking. That song called The Dark Side, that came out today. It's available now. But the album is called Simulation Theory, and that will be November 9th. If you are a Muse fan, it's already sounding very, very good. And from what I read, Josh, and I know this is like people probably don't give a shit, but there's actually going to be, I know this is important. So for anybody that thinks out there, well, why does WWE, when they sell WWE 2K19, there's the normal edition, and there's the bonus edition, and there's a super extra deluxe edition, and there's it's called making money, man. There's 3 different versions of this Muse album coming out. There's the standard version with 11 tracks. There's a bonus edition or something with like 16 tracks. And then there's like an ultimate edition with 21 tracks or something. And you're damn sure know I'm going to have the 21 track one. Shut up and take my money. Yeah. And Batman Day, September 15th this year, DC Universe Online, or whatever the hell they're calling that streaming service, is officially launching. So everybody get excited. New Muse, DC, 24 hours a day. What more could you really fucking want? Quit complaining, ladies and gentlemen.
I can't wait for the Lion King live action movie on July of next year, July 19th, 2019. I'm looking forward to that. Lion King was my favorite movie growing up as a kid. I watched it almost every day.
I never saw Lion King. I never did.
Well, that shows the different.
Never did. And you know what? That at least once an episode we have to show that time has passed, and there it is right there that I've never seen the Lion. Because when did Lion King come out? Like 96,
94,
94. Yeah. That was. I was already into some other stuff in 94. Get your head out of the gutters, people. I was straight edge till I was 21, so relax. I'm not that old.
Bastards. Oh, man. What was the saying Silky Johnson said? Now I'm going to put something wet in your mama's dish. Oh, no, Buck Nasty.
Buck Nasty. Now, if you'll excuse me, I got to go home and put water in Buck Nasty's mama's dish.
Oh, man. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you trick-ass marks, ski scats, and hula hoops, and scallywops all around the world have a good weekend. Hope you enjoy All In. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Notorious Shashi, at PVice, at Dave13. Do us a favor, leave us a honest review of the show. We're open to any suggestions on what you want to listen to when it comes to our show. Anything, different topics you want us to discuss. Do you want us to scale back wrestling talk? Any suggestion you have for this podcast, I'm all open ears. Please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. That's where we help expand the reach of our show. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. And Bookmark ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. Mr. Conference, what do you have to say?
I was going to say, and legit, like, send us anything, whether it's wrestling, comics, movies, TV, music, sports, whatever the hell you guys, whatever you guys want us to put our seasoning on, we'll season that up for you.
Yes, sir. For the Cloud Prince, I'm Notorious Josh Lopez. Hope you guys enjoyed the Player Haters Ball intro. Enjoy All In this weekend, and we'll talk to you guys next week on the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Remember, you're the director of your life story. Never let anybody impugn your integrity or character. We're out. Peace.